And welcome back, ladies and gentlemen, to the next episode of Next Round Sports. This is Chris Porter here with Caleb Culver and Jeff Amos. How you doing tonight, gentlemen?
Good.
We're doing good, right? Talk about some March
Ernie
Madness.
time.
We are. We've got a lot to discuss here in this week's episode as we've made it through the first two rounds of March Madness, getting ready to go now into the Sweet 16. So as we get going here, we're going to go ahead and go into our bracket, give a little update on the bracket challenge that we've got going on here for Next Round Sports. And currently where we sit through the first two rounds, Jeff, you are tied in third place with a total score of 450 points and a max available of 1,700.
Ooh,
Thank you.
Caleb
Get
and
it.
myself are tied in fifth with scores of 400 points. Caleb has a max available of
Yay.
1,480, and I have a max of 1,560. Now, with
Mhm.
all that, our final fours, you both have UConn, Baylor, Houston, and Creighton in the final four, with Baylor being eliminated. So you only have three of your four left, while I still sit with UConn, North Carolina, Houston, and Tennessee. So
Mhm.
a lot still going on here in
Very
whether, whether someone wins the $50 gift certificate, that's good for them. It's still between us three. We
Oh
got
yeah.
someone's got to win between us three as well.
Yep.
Correct.
But as we're sitting right now, we do have some people in competition for that gift card. So we are hoping the best for them, and we will keep an update on that as soon and reach out to the winner if they stay in first place. We'll reach out to the winners and get their contact information, get that $50 gift card right over to them. But let's go ahead and get into some of the meat and potatoes here the first round. And I've got a list here of all of the upsets here in that first round. In day one and day two, we had a total of 8 upsets
So that's
here
more
in
than
that
your
first
usual
round.
first round. Apparently, the average you were
Normally,
saying was 5 going in, if I remember
normally
right.
you look for 5. You normally look for 5. You don't want to pick more than 5, and we had 8. That's an average.
Mm-hmm.
So, I mean, some years you
Yeah.
have more, some
And
years
some
you
of
have less.
those 512s are killing my bracket right now. I think I got one of them right.
Yep. And of those 512s, 2 of them were upsets. The other 2, the 5 was able to pull it out.
Mm-hmm.
And in these, we had 4 and 13. You had 3, 6 and 11s, 5, 5 and 12s, 1, 3 and 14, and 1, 7 and 10. So really, it was the 6 and 11. It was the 11 seeds that did the biggest damage when it came down to it.
Yeah,
11 and 12
Yeah,
seeds.
in the first week.
Yeah, that's been the talk lately. Or you hear these professors and stuff that have been studying the bracket.
Bracketologists.
Yeah, bracketologists and statistic professors analyze it. They've said that the best draw to be as a lower seed is be that 11 seed, and sure enough, they were right.
Yeah, no, some of these I think were also due to seeding issues. Like we were talking about South Carolina and Oregon before the tournament even began. Like South Carolina shouldn't have been a 6 seed, probably.
Oregon,
Right.
we felt was a lot better than 11 seed. So, exactly.
Mhm.
And that's actually one of the games here that we had in that upset. So I'm going to put that off my list here.
Yeah.
That was a game that we talked about multiple. I think we all picked Oregon in this game. I mean, none of us believed South
So,
Carolina should have been where they were at. So, I mean, that's easy one to mark
Yeah.
off. The other one that was a big surprise here for me that
and
we
the,
had actually talked a little bit
Oregon coach
earlier.
also stays undefeated in the first round.
That's true. They have yet to lose a game in the first round. They're the only team
Yep.
that holds that honor.
Mm.
This is one we were talking about a little while ago before we got going with the broadcast. Number 4 Alabama losing to number 13 Yale.
Or Auburn, you mean?
Yeah.
Oh, Auburn. Sorry. What did I say?
Alabama.
Alabama. I'm sorry.
They're
My
school,
bad.
but close.
Whatever. Auburn, Alabama, same difference.
Yeah.
Who cares? Now
War
Charles
Eagle
Barkley's
Barkley.
gonna probably try and fight me. Yeah. But speaking of Barkley, he tried to recruit Dirk Nowitzki to come and play at Auburn.
He did.
He tried very hard to get him there. But yeah,
no,
number 4 Auburn losing to Yale 78-76.
Auburn had that game. They had, I think, an
multiple
8-point lead
opportunities
at least 2 times going into that second half, or in that second half, I should say, and Yale just pulled it out. So I mean, congrats to them for the comeback. But
Yale held them off, and at the very end, there were multiple opportunities that Auburn had to take this game back to tie it up, and missed multiple free throws. I think they missed 4 or 5 free throws there at the end of the game. And
that'll kill you. That's Texas A&M.
A couple of them, they missed the first free throw, so the second one you needed to miss to try and get the layup. But we got the offensive rebound, still had 2 blocked shots there at the end. Both shots blocked and weren't able to, and then jacked up a 3 at the end that just didn't have a chance. But at the end of the game, Yale outplayed Auburn. Auburn looked scared when the moment came, and Yale came up and took the game away from them and stole it.
And I think that's the most frustrating thing, is that you had an opportunity to tie this game, and you had Trey Donaldson, who's a high percentage free throw shooter, with 2 free throws to tie the game and send the game into overtime. And then, as you said, he missed the first one, most likely intentionally missed the second one, but they still got the rebound from their best player, Johnny Broome, and then they had a 3-pointer to win at the end of regulation, and they missed it. I think an impressive thing to me is that even though Yale didn't, I don't think, took full advantage of it, because they were just 67% from the line, but they were able to get to the line 31 times in that game, and that's really impressive against the low post game of Auburn, especially when you're out rebounded in that game fairly significantly. And the way Auburn was shooting, there's really no excuse for Auburn to lose this game, and it's a very big disappointment for the SEC, as we'll continue to highlight throughout this first and second round.
Now, the next game I wanted to bring up was number 6 BYU losing to number 11 Duquesne, or as the Indians call it, Duquesnes. But no, as regular people call it, Duquesne. Duquesne winning 71-67. Big win there for Duquesne. This is their first time in 40 years into the tournament? And
45 years,
45 years of being in the tournament and able to get a win there in the first round there against BYU. BYU looked better earlier in the season, kind of going down. I did pick BYU to beat Duquesne, so missed definitely on that one, but a good win there. Good win for
BYU would have been, I mean, I think this is their second tournament win.
Faithful too.
Yeah, true.
Yeah. And since Pitt bowed out of the NIT, they need something to cheer for.
Exactly.
Yeah. Well,
I'm not going to get back on my high horse. I already did that last week. I don't need to get back on my high horse about the NIT fallouts. But anyway, not getting on. I'm not getting riled up. Keep my blood pressure down. Okay. But now the next game that really hurt my bracket. Number 5, St. Mary's, 66, Grand Canyon, number 12, 75. I really needed St. Mary's to win this game, and that hurt.
This is one of those 5 for 12s that just killed me, but St. Mary's just did not show up. I mean, I think I broke a cardinal rule making my bracket this year, too. I went defensive heavy on teams that had good defense. I went ahead and picked them to win, but you pick offense early and then defense to stay and win you the championship. So I think I broke one of the cardinal rules making my bracket, but it is what it is. Because I mean, I had St. Mary's going all the way to my Sweet 16. Like I said, I needed them to win. But props to Grand Canyon and the Lopes, man. They showed up. And
this is
St. Mary's didn't have a chance in this game.
Not at all. They weren't even there.
This is very disappointing for St. Mary's. I mean, this is a St. Mary's team that is known for their defense.
Experienced coach too.
Randy
experienced players.
A long time. Very.
You got beat by an online school. Online school came in and ran you out of the gym.
And Grand Canyon dictated the pace of the game. Again, St. Mary's known
Yes.
for defense and slow play, and Grand Canyon completely dictated the pace of the game. They had no issues scoring the ball whatsoever. Even being out rebounded by St. Mary's, that wasn't an issue for them either. One huge thing about this game, though, was Grand Canyon 28 of 36 from the line, St. Mary's 7 of 12 from the line. So if you're looking at a stat that's going to determine the outcome of this game, that's a big one.
Porter said earlier, free throws will kill you.
They will.
Ability to get to the line.
You got to hit those. You got to hit those. There's a reason why they're called free throws. Free points. Just line up and hit them. That's all you got to do. It's not hard.
Another surprising shot or stat to me is how many free throw attempts were just taken by themselves. St. Mary's had 67 shots. Yeah. Not free throw, sorry. Field goal, excuse me. If I said free throw, I meant field goal. Like St. Mary's had 67, Grand Canyon only had 49. So Grand Canyon's making a much higher percentage than what St. Mary's was making too.
Right, because St. Mary's was shooting a lot in desperation throughout the entire game. They had no ability to get the ball inside, even with their ability to out rebound. They couldn't score any second chance points.
When you're down that far and jacking up threes throughout the end, just trying to catch back up and unbury yourself, that definitely throws up and even with those offensive rebounds and you're jacking up shots and everything, that definitely brings it back up. It doesn't make the stat sheet look any better. And it kind of pads it the wrong way in that aspect. Going on to the next game, another number 5 seed losing, Wisconsin to James Madison 60-72, and this was one that we all called. This was pretty. Well, it was called not just by us, on this just one, about everyone. Oh yeah, you had Wisconsin.
Yeah, this was the popular one. Yeah, I was thinking Storr and the winning of the Big Ten championship might kind of push them through at least the first round, especially against James Madison. But man, Wisconsin, another team that just didn't show up.
I don't think it seemed like winning the Big Ten championship was their national championship. They were good at that point because they were not there. Yeah. Madison came in and put their stamp on the game. And won that one really quickly.
I thought this game for Wisconsin was kind of symbolic of their season. There's a point to where they got up to 6th in the nation when they played number 1 Purdue in February, and then after that point they had good and bad spells, and as you alluded to, Chris, they went all the way to the Big Ten final, and then you're thinking, okay, Wisconsin is peaking at the right time. They knocked off Purdue in the Big Ten tournament, but then once the NCAA tournament came around, James Madison was ready to go. Also, too, this is a veteran James Madison team who went 31-3 in the regular season. 15-3 in the Sun Belt, won their conference tournament.
Team you don't want to meet up with in the first round.
Absolutely not. To me, watching this game, it just looked. If you put plain jerseys on them, James Madison was, to me, the better team in this game, hands down.
Hands down, easy.
Mm-hmm.
Wisconsin made a little bit of ground near the end, but this game was never in doubt.
Well, that's because James Madison led them at that point.
Yeah. James Madison, their ability to turn the ball over, or excuse me, to get Wisconsin to turn the ball over was critical in this game. James Madison.
I was also sloppy on Wisconsin part, but
I think
good defense by James Madison too.
James Madison as well. And as we discussed, Wisconsin won the second half by 2 points, but as we discussed, that's kind of James Madison just screwing around at the end. I don't think there was really any point in this game where I felt Wisconsin was a serious threat to win at all. It's a nice win for James Madison.
Next game is
their first versus in the tournament, I think.
Yep. Yeah,
it was Grand Canyon. So congrats to both of them getting their first.
Next game I wanted to talk about was a 6-11 as North Carolina State was able to stomp Texas Tech 80-67.
Little Zach Randolph, man, they dominated the glass and dominated the inside with that guy.
And
sometimes
this turned
you just
out
need
being
a player that can do good in the tourney.
This turned out being a conference champ that came ready to play as we went from one polar opposite to the other
they
side.
played 12 games in 13 days or something like that.
They had to play to win to get in, and they did. And they came in and kept that momentum rolling there against Texas Tech. And they had this game from the get-go. Texas Tech was never in it. I mean, it was they seemed flat-footed throughout the whole game, and I saw highlights from it. I didn't get to watch the whole game on this.
Kind of the issue with Texas Tech too this year is consistency between one game to the other.
Well, from what I saw, Texas Tech, this game, I watched a lot of this game. They could not establish any kind of offensive rhythm whatsoever. Every time you thought Texas Tech may establish some sort of momentum or get back into the game, they would stall, and then NC State would go on a run. Ben Middlebrooks in this game was phenomenal. He had 21 points out of nowhere coming off the bench. As you alluded to, Caleb, DJ Burns, and Zach Randolph, he did his thing with 16 points. Muhammad Diarra had a double-double of 17 and 12. Also, too, I think another thing that hurt Texas Tech in this game is just their lack of depth. I mean, they only had 7 guys go in this game.
Yeah,
and Chance McMillan, he's essentially a sixth man. So you didn't really have that depth to go to if you're Texas Tech if things go bad. So this was just not a good matchup for Texas Tech. And NC State really controlled the game, and Tech just simply could not make shots. Pop Isaacs was 1 of 10 from the 3 when he's a lot more reliable than that. Tech just couldn't make a shot, couldn't establish any offensive rhythm. From a rebounding perspective, I thought it was pretty even. I thought defensively Tech wasn't necessarily that bad. But if you can't make shots, you're just not going to, plain simply, not going to win. Also, too, being able to go to the line 26 times versus Tech going to the line 14 times. So, again, things like that, especially in an NCAA tournament game when the margin of error is so close, it's gonna cost you, and that's what it cost Tech in this game on Thursday night.
And then to the biggest upset of day one,
the one that killed everyone's bracket, everybody's brackets,
and it was here at PPG in Pittsburgh. Oakland taking down number 3 Kentucky 80-76.
Yeah. After this game, there was 0.1% brackets left.
0.1% brackets left.
And that's so crazy.
Yeah. And Yale,
nobody saw this coming, but the main guy that did all this work, there was a meme of his shot selection. It's 329 threes in the past 3 games and 22 2-point field goals, excuse me.
Well, they showed there was a stat that showed during the whole season he took, I think, 600 something shots during the whole season, and only 4 of them were not threes.
And by he, you're referring to Jack Gohlke.
Yes, I couldn't remember his name. That's why I said he.
The guy looks like an evil villain if you look like him from head on, or maybe one of the '80s corporate bigwigs from Greed or something.
He's balding already.
Yes,
but fabulous 3-point shooting performance in that first round, especially.
He's
definitely a specialist.
Kentucky was.
He got an NIL deal with Buffalo Wild Wings out of it too.
To me, Kentucky wasn't ready to play in this game at all. They were unprepared. They were out-coached in this game. Reed Shepherd, their top 10 player.
But according to their coach, John Calipari, the system was good. Everything was good. It was just that they didn't play hard enough. If you heard his post-game, discussion,
interview. His team under the bus, basically.
Calipari completely threw his team under the bus, up to the point where his head is being called for in Kentucky. The entire state has turned against John Calipari, and you have to show. I don't blame them, because Calipari has only his entire tenure at Kentucky, after he left Memphis and came over and really screwed Memphis when he came over to Kentucky, has only won one national champion, and he did that with 4 NBA players, 4 guys who made it to the NBA on that
12
team.
years ago. And that's 12 years
yes.
ago.
And since then, he's never made it past the round of 32.
No, I think
maybe he's made one. He may have made one Sweet 16, but that's
like that.
Maybe one, if I remember correctly, only one.
But at Kentucky, it's about what have you done for me lately. The reality is,
to be considered one of the best coaches in college basketball, and you've only had one national championship, and that was 12 years ago.
Yeah,
it's either.
Also that kind of goes back to what we've talked about. There's been a lot in the coaching ranks that have left recently. With your Roy and your Coach K. You're left with like Izzo and Kelvin Sampson and.
Well, Jim Boeheim left as well too.
Yes, yeah. As I was saying, like you've lost a lot of great coaches here recently. So, it's easier to be a top one right now.
But to me, Calipari's never been a great coach. He just had a great team. He's never been a great coach to me. And the problem with Kentucky is,
though.
He's been a great recruiter, but he's not been a great coach. You can be a great recruiter all you want, but you're not a great coach. You can't coach these guys and get them. Yeah, has he been getting young, great talent that's been leaving one and done and going to the NBA? And he can say, "Oh, I sent a whole bunch of guys to the NBA," but how much are you really coaching them and preparing them in 1 year? You're not preparing them like a lot of these other guys that are building these guys up for 4 years and getting the most out of them, turning these guys who aren't NBA talent into serviceable NBA players. No, to me, he's just been fleecing this, the University of Kentucky and getting
the king
money.
Of one and done. Like that's
absolutely
kind of what he became.
And the thing is,
with NIL, the transfer portal now, one and done is over. That philosophy.
That time in college basketball is done. It's completely done now, and he is a relic of that time. But if you're Kentucky and you're like, well, as most of the people are saying, we need to fire him, get done with him. Okay, fire him. He's going to collect, just like Jimbo Fisher did when he got fired from A&M, $33 million payout if he is let go, or you can let him finish out the rest of his contract.
What do you do?
I wish I could go suck as a coach and get paid $33 million to get to go away.
But if you're Kentucky, seriously, do you ride this out, or
who are you going to get to replace him?
Yeah,
I agree. I agree. I wouldn't fire.
No, it makes more. He's had a top 25 team the entire time he's been there, in the rankings too.
But it's Kentucky.
But yeah, I know. But I think Kentucky still has enough reasons to keep him at this point. But yeah, definitely huge disappointment for Kentucky. But Oakland got their first win. Another team that gets their first tournament win. Props to the Bears.
Yeah.
And the bracket busters that will be remembered for this year.
Yeah, Oakland, again, they deserve to win. Kentucky, again, was not ready to play. And Oakland probably could have won that game by more than 4 points. They struggled from the free throw line in that game.
Mm-hmm.
And
yeah, very true.
And so kudos to them, and kudos to Jack Golke for hitting 10 of 20 from 3, and how Kentucky didn't prepare for that, how they didn't make any adjustments to that.
Mm-hmm.
That's the one key that you've got to go against Calipari on too. It's the coach to make those adjustments.
Right.
Yeah. Well, I don't know. We're moving on to the next one, I think, right below it. Unfortunately for Jeff.
Round 2 or round 1?
And round 1, the unfortunate Florida Gators going down to Colorado The 10 over the 7.
Yes. So obviously, yeah. I mean, I watched that game in full, and it was a very up and down game. But
it was really one of the better first round games. I'm not gonna lie, Jeff.
It was an incredible game. An incredible game with an incredible finish. 102-100 was the final with Colorado winning.
Mm-hmm.
It's rare both teams get to 100.
And the ball
very rare.
Ball bounced around on the rim at the end, and the bucket fell for Colorado. And it was KJ Simpson, who was probably the player of the game for Colorado that game. So it was good for him that he got those points. But it looked like for a while, Florida just could not stop at all what Colorado was doing. Every time Colorado touched the ball, it seemed like they went down there and scored points. One thing I did not anticipate happening, but I think if this goes to be said, is that Florida definitely missed Micah Hamilton, who got injured in the SEC championship game. They missed that big presence, that 7-1 presence, and that allowed that Lampkin Jr. on Colorado just to go down there, bully his way, and score every single time. And then the only way Florida got back in this game is that Colorado let off the gas pedal, and then all of a sudden the game is tied again, and then it became to the point where who scores or who has the ball last. Colorado had the ball last. Colorado wins. So that's how I see it. It's a hell of a game, and Colorado's a heck of an offensive team, that's for sure. And
that was a big win for Colorado. They cut that. They're a program that has never had any success basketball wise in the tournament. They've never had any success.
Yeah. And this helps because I think it takes some pressure off Dion too on the football side.
Well, Dion's putting himself in more pressure. We can talk about that later.
We'll get in the gumbo, I'm sure.
With his comments here earlier this week. But we'll talk about that later. But it could. But I mean, I think Colorado would have gotten to maybe the Sweet 16. That could have taken a lot more pressure off that. But this, at least them getting a win and finally, especially beating Florida, who has had success in the tournament. That was a big win for them there. That's what I've got as far as upsets. What other games did you guys want to talk about here in the first round?
The first round,
you had a couple, Caleb.
Well, in the first round, I just want to give a few props to a couple people. First, UConn setting the largest halftime lead in tournament history of 30 points against Stetson. They led by 30 points against Stetson.
Surprise.
So craziness there. Good job, UConn.
Way to mash your heel into the sacrificial lamb of the 16th seed.
Way to go.
But like I was noting earlier, I was like, there is a worrying trend though. You've got 91 points in the first round, 75 points in the second. You're going down by about 20 points a round. So if you get 55 against San Diego State, you may have a problem.
Could not believe
So this UConn game, I mean, clubbing baby seals is basically what UConn did the entire time. Great job, guys.
That's why I'm going to give props again to another guy for clubbing baby seals, Zach Edey, with his 30-point, 20-point rebound against Grambling State. You could call him boring, but man, a 30-20 performance is impressive still.
Purdue,
and he's averaging 26 points
this year. They deserve credit. They deserve credit.
They did that. They beat a 16 seed. Good for them.
They beat the 16 seeds. They're still in it. They deserve the credit they deserve, and you will give them that credit that they deserve.
I apologize. I should have given them that credit. That's ridiculous.
Yeah. That one and the one of the surprises for me, I know it's a surprise I think for Jeff too, is Clemson. How well they're doing. Because they were one of the first teams predicted to go out, and they're still in it. They rolled through Baylor in that second round too.
That was the last upset I had, was them beating Baylor.
Baylor looked like they weren't even there. Like they just had no clue what was going on, which is even more surprising. Because Baylor's got a good coach.
It's just
they've got a good team.
They got a good team. It's just, what are you doing?
I
guess out-coach might be the thing.
I think. I mean, this team.
No,
I'm just saying defensive struggles for Baylor. It's been the Achilles heel all year long, and it caught up to them in that Clemson game. I think the thing that surprised me about Clemson is that this team was ice cold going into the NCAA tournament. This is a team that lost to Notre Dame in March, a team that lost to Wake Forest in March, a team in the ACC tournament that lost to Boston College team by 21 points. Actually had this team losing to New Mexico in the first round. It was super hot, winning in the Mountain West tournament. Then they went around, beat New Mexico easily, and then
Clemson.
Baylor, they handled them as well. So good kudos to Clemson.
Yeah, you're still in last place, Porter.
All right, I still have my Final Four intact.
Yep, for now.
I did not see this one coming, but kudos to Clemson, and we'll see what happens tomorrow against Arizona.
But and then I also want to pat myself on the back for picking the Rick Barnes revenge game, Tennessee over Texas. It was an exciting game to watch, but
they better have won that game.
Yeah,
we saw that game. Texas.
Yeah,
they're off in the Colorado State game, but they still won.
Yep. Yeah, 56-44 in that Texas-Colorado State. Unless they call yourself good and you score 58 only against Tennessee. But yeah, like I said, that's just for some reason, whatever Texas meets an old coach.
Yeah.
Just don't do well.
Yeah, I would give a shout out to, I know this is going to make y'all both throw up, but give a shout out to Gonzaga. Everyone was picking them to get upset by McNeese State, and then if they somehow got past McNeese State, it didn't matter that Kansas had injuries; they're still going to lose to Kansas.
Yeah, people at Samford still beating Gonzaga if they got through.
Yeah, that's another thing. People at Samford even go to the Sweet 16 if Gonzaga somehow got past McNeese. So. This goes back to Gonzaga, their ability to dictate the pace of play. They're a fantastic offensive team this season. I think their defense is a little underrated. So I give Gonzaga a lot of credit. I think they can give Purdue a run for their money. But shout out to Gonzaga for pooping on all the haters. Good for them.
All right. Very true.
All right. Well, we'll take here just a short break, and we'll come back as we look at the Sweet 16 and give our updated predictions for the Elite Eight. We'll be back here in just a few moments. And welcome back from the break and to the next round as we get ready for our talk on the Sweet 16. And we'll start that off there in the East with number 1 UConn versus number 5 San Diego State University. Sorry, I had a little slip of the tongue there. San Diego State University, the matchup from the national championship of last year.
Yeah, and
but San Diego State's a completely different team.
Oh,
so I think UConn's got this.
Yeah, I expect a very similar result to last year, if not even more significant of a result in UConn's favor. They're the most balanced team in the NCAA tournament right now. So you see it's really struggled offensively, particularly in the end of that UAB game. Outfield that when they were against Yale properly exposed them offensively. So I anticipate UConn win this game pretty big.
Agreed.
I've also got UConn winning this game as well. Next game there in the East, you got the number 2 Iowa State versus number 3 Illinois Illini.
And the Illinois offense is going strong.
They are playing like a team possessed.
Yeah, and the Iowa State does not look like the same Iowa State that killed Houston so far in that Big 12 tournament. They struggled a little bit, even against Washington
State.
State.
This game really intrigues me. This game might be the most intriguing out of all the Sweet 16.
I'm really looking forward to this game. This is the game I'm really looking forward to watch.
Yeah,
this was the closest to a toss-up, I think, in regards to both teams going in.
Well, you have the unstoppable force against the immovable object right now, right? Because you have Illinois, who's the most efficient offensive team in the country, going against the most efficient defensive team in the country right now at Iowa State due to Houston dropping off a little bit of an A&M game.
I think rebounding is going to be the determining factor in this game.
Oh, sure. I think it is,
absolutely.
too. Also,
absolutely.
I think guard play is going to be huge as well. Terrence Shannon for Illinois has had a heck of a tournament so far, so it'll be a big-time defensive performance. I think that's going to get Iowa State this victory ultimately. But I think also, too, Illinois is going to try and speed up the tempo of this game. If they're able to speed up the tempo, make shots from outside, Illinois could win this game. But once again, as we discussed, coin flip game, and it's going to be a very fun game.
This is definitely the one to watch if you're watching one. If
you're going to watch one, ticket and go for it. This is the one you want to get after. Moving over into the West, we've got number 1 North Carolina against number 4 Alabama, and this game also intrigues me. I'm really intrigued to see how this game goes because I have to look back at my bracket. I can't remember if I have Alabama going against North Carolina here.
Yeah,
this is going to be an intriguing game. This is going to be a good game to watch.
Yeah, I've got it. I mean, I think Alabama's going to have this one honestly fairly easy. I see North Carolina kind of falling apart. Like their consistency throughout the year has been garbage. I mean, they've been on a pretty good little run here, 90-62 and 85-69 over a Tom Izzo coach team in the last round. They've looked fairly solid, but I just don't trust them to keep it up.
Originally, when I picked this game, I had Alabama beating North Carolina, but I'm still, I think if I were able to switch my pick, I probably would. I think North Carolina, to me, unlike in the past where they've won by their offense, this year they're winning by their defense, which is a completely different identity than what they showed in the past. Both teams play a lot of up-tempo basketball, but I think Alabama defensively, and particularly in that game against Grand Canyon when they nearly lost that game on Sunday night, I still think there's some big-time holes in Alabama defense that they have.
Well, we know there's holes in the defense. That's what I'm saying. But they're going to have
multiple times last week.
No, but to me, though, the North Carolina defense can stifle Alabama's offense enough. Alabama, I don't think, can stop anybody right now. And North Carolina, even though I mentioned that they're really known for their defense this year, they still have a top 20 offense. And I don't think from what I've seen thus far, Alabama can contain that. So even though I had Alabama beating North Carolina originally at the start of the NCAA tournament, I think UNC is going to win that game.
The next game after that, there in the West, is number 2 Arizona going against the red-hot Clemson Tigers in the 6th seed.
Yeah, this is a crazy one. I mean, the Clemson Tigers on defense is not what I expected to see them come out with so far. They've been the complete surprise team for me. I mean, Arizona throughout early part of the year looked dominant and like the number 1 team. But I don't even know in this one, in all honesty, if I can give you an accurate kind of like who's going to win this one. I know we just said the big pickup or big coin flip is Illinois and Iowa State, but that's because, like Jeff said, you got a rock meeting a hard place. Which one's going to move? So.
Well, you can think about it and pick a winner here in a minute when we give our predictions on the Elite Eight. We're just talking about the game now. You don't have to pick a winner right now. You can sit there and put that back on the bag.
I know.
Put it on the back of the stove and let it simmer for just a little bit.
Yeah,
fair enough. I'll let it roast a little more.
Yeah, I'll wait till I make my picks to go through.
Well,
yeah.
You have any preference? I mean,
both
both teams have been better defensively than what I expected, and Arizona's offense is still one of the top ones. But
I think, to me, it goes back to Arizona just having simply better talent than Clemson does. Clemson.
You could say that about Baylor too, I think.
Well, sure, you can, but at least Arizona can play defense. Arizona is both the top 10 team efficiency offense and defense. Clemson is the top 25 team from an offensive standpoint. Clemson, even though they've looked fantastic defensively so far this tournament, they're still in the top 40. I think Arizona is also going to speed the tempo up in this game. They just have simply better talent. So I really like Arizona.
They got more size, if I remember right, too.
To me, in this game is more important to Arizona than it is to Clemson. Arizona needs to prove that they can get past this round and they can move forward and get past their further woes. And I think that weighs on them more and actually puts more pressure here on Arizona. Clemson's just happy to be there. No one expected them to be there. I expected them to be in the round of 32, but I didn't expect them to be here. I expected Baylor to beat them. They're just happy to be there. They're playing with house money at this time, which gives them a lot of free range to just go out there and play the game. So to me, I see Clemson getting out in front and taking care of Arizona because I feel like Arizona's going to be under more pressure because of what they need to be handling.
So you have Clemson winning this one then.
Well, I'll tell that again in my
we'll get back to that.
For this next round. That's not because in my original bracket, I have Baylor winning this game. So
agreed.
So I mean, we have updated projections. Our updated projections. We'll do those here in a minute. It's just I believe there's more pressure on Arizona in this game than Clemson. Clemson's playing the house money because they weren't expected to be here. Now to the South region, you've got this game. I think is going to be really fun to watch. This is going to be Houston and Duke, and it's in Dallas.
Yeah, I think Houston's going to kill them. In all honesty,
wow.
I don't like Duke.
Now, who's going to have more fans? Who's going to have more fans in Dallas, Houston or Duke? That's the good question.
That is the question.
Because Duke fans are like Yankee fans. They pop up out of nowhere.
Yes, exactly.
They are, but I think this is enough of a home game for Houston. They can pull that out.
I don't know. I think it's going to be.
I think there'll be more Duke fans there at the American Airlines Center than there will be.
Don't forget, Houston's got oil money.
They do, but they don't have Duke's reputation.
You have money too. Believe me.
I believe there'll be more Duke fans. You'll see more blue than red out in the stands.
I think it's going to be about 50-50 on that game. And all I can say is that it's going to be a heck of a game. Houston has really struggled defensively. I think that's been a major disappointment. That's the biggest story, for them.
A&M's a tough team and one of the higher scoring teams in the SEC. So,
A&M took care of them on the offensive glass big time. And not to say that A&M isn't known for that. That's what they were known for. Number one was their offensive rebounding, and they really exposed U of H in that game. What cost A&M in that game, ultimately, in my opinion, was was coaching flat out, simply, and Houston was able to make shots. But I think, to me, I'm really concerned Houston from a rebounding perspective and from a size perspective. I mean, A&M's guards really took care of LJ Cryer and Sharp, as well as Jamal Shed. Like that was not that was a game for Houston that I do not brag about whatsoever. That was a scary game for U of H. So this is going to be
true, but that also can be a game that you can build off of. That you've shown that you got pushed down, and now you can. That's what you have to take. You can take from it and see that, hey, we got pushed the edge. This is where we almost got beat with, and that's what we have to look forward to in this next round. People trying to exploit us so we can get better at that point. Yeah, I'm saying that because I picked Houston to win it all. So.
Oh, I know. Hey, I didn't go to.
Put the bulletin board material up.
So the other game there in Dallas is going to be number 2 Marquette versus number 11 North Carolina State.
So this is what I think is a matchup nightmare for Marquette.
I completely agree.
The problems we've mentioned throughout the year about Marquette, and now Kolek is back. I think this team is starting to morph back into what they were at the start of the year with Kolek.
But you hear the talking heads. Colet's back. That they're back. Marquette's back because Colet's back.
I know. I mean, almost cost them in the first round, like we predicted when Kolek came back. He was going to kind of jar this team a little bit, and they almost lost in the first round.
They did.
To Western Kentucky for a while, then they finally got their footing. That was an ugly game for Marquette, and wasn't particularly cute against Colorado either. But I just think NC State's going to dominate this board, dominate the rebounding edge, and if Marquette can't make their threes, this is going to be an easy blowout win, walk to the Elite Eight for NC State. It's going to depend on if Marquette can hit some threes or not. Is really what it's going to come down to.
I really don't have a clue what's going to happen in this game. This
like with Arizona Clemson.
I mean,
two teams I haven't really seen either.
This game really, messes with my mind. I think I'll have a good idea pretty early on what happens in this game. I think the key in this game is what Marquette can do to DJ Burns. Do they have an answer for, mini Zach Randolph, who's, 6'10", 300 pounds probably.
Everything 275, but yes.
Well, they say he's 275, but he looks like 300 pounds to me. But yeah, so
I'm not gonna argue with that.
That would be the only thing what Marquette is going to do against a guy like that. I don't really have a clue.
Because if he gets their bigs in foul trouble, that makes them even smaller in the rebounding edge even more. Because don't forget, they've got a center over there across from Benny Randolph who averages a double-double in this tournament.
All I know is that this team was 17-14 going into the ACC tournament with a 4-game losing streak going in to that ACC tournament. So I think at some point luck has got to run out for NC State, but maybe it keeps going. But
I guess if this is more of a matchup issue to me for Marquette than anything else.
Yeah, but if everyone else, throughout the regular season, is able to figure out how to stop them, I think someone at some point will figure out how to.
So you're saying someone should be smart enough to stop them?
Yes, absolutely. Shaka smart enough to stop them. Yes.
Just making sure I heard that correctly. All right, going now into the Midwest. The game that I am least looking forward to. Number 1 Purdue against number 5 Gonzaga. Gonzaga.
Yeah, I kind of agree with you for most of the same reasons. Oh man, and this could be an interesting game. Gonzaga could easily beat Purdue, but Purdue can also beat Gonzaga. I think it's going to come down to Zach Edey, and if this coach screws it up for Purdue. Is going to be my opinion.
He needs to have the game of his life. As much as I want Purdue out, he does. As much as I want Purdue out, I want Gonzaga out.
Yeah, I think a lot of people want Gonzaga out.
Gonzaga's terrible. They're terrible. No one likes Gonzaga unless you were from that
I mean,
part
you
of
had
Washington.
an easy.
No one likes
I
Gonzaga.
mean, you showed up at least against McNeese and handled them pretty well in the first round. Gonzaga did, and you beat a depleted Kansas team. So now you got to go against the number one collegiate player in Zach Edey and Purdue. So
well, it's just like
this is going to be a much tougher matchup for them.
Story for Gonzaga every year. They whip up on a bunch of no-name teams, and somehow, because of something they did 3 years ago, they're still ranked as a top team until they lose to an actual legitimate contender, and then get beaten, get knocked down, and actually get exposed for who they really are.
But they beat St. Mary's twice.
Story of Gonzaga. God, why are they ever even ranked and talked about? They should not be talked about as much as they are. They are a terrible team. They're a joke of a.
It's a little history there. I agree, and I mean even the tournament mentions that. But I mean, you've got Ike, a guy who's averaging 16 points and 7 rebounds, and you got about 4 players in double digits averaging points for Gonzaga.
Like he stayed in a depleted Kansas.
That's what I'm saying. Like that's the problem is like you've beaten up on chumps so far in the tournament. This is the first real challenge you're going to have. The question I have again is still the coach of Purdue. I don't know if I trust this guy. I think they do find a way to win this one. I know I'm saying mine a little early this time, but whatever. As far as my predictions go, but the coach worries me going forward for Purdue, and he kind of has, unfortunately, for most of this year. Whenever he gets flustered,
I mean, it's hard to trust Purdue. It just is hard to do it.
It is.
And we'll go ahead and go to the last game there in the Midwest. Another number 2 and 3 pairing. This one is very intriguing to me because Final Four setting between all of us. Number 2, Tennessee versus number 3, Creighton. And before we get into the details of this, I have to state that the Big East is the only team that has every team they sent to the tournament still in to all go to the Sweet 16. They sent 3 teams in. All 3 teams have made it. And the fact that they didn't have more teams in this is right now here showing what a travesty that was, that more Big East teams didn't get in, and they put in more of these joke SEC teams that all got blown out in the first round.
Agreed.
Mountain West teams that we talked about, got sent lower. They all got beat. There were a lot of teams that got beat, and these other Big East teams, Providence, Seton Hall, should have had more of a chance in there. St. John's.
Virginia getting in the tournament to begin with.
Yes.
Yeah.
This just shows that the committee doesn't know what the hell they're talking. They're supposed to be Northeast based. Come on. That's no. This was a complete. This just right here is showing what it was, that all 3 teams, the only conference that had every team they sent in get to the Sweet 16. Just wanted to state that before we got into it.
No, fair enough. And I mean, say Creighton's my Final Four projection here. It looked fairly good against Akron. Oregon gave them a little bit of trouble.
The game, by the way.
Oh, it was.
Double overtime.
Right. But I mean, Creighton's still crazy good to me. But Tennessee, right now, they're favored to win this game over Creighton. Now, they are a 2 seed against the 3. So I guess technically they should. But this is going to be a very interesting game, too. I'm very happy with some of these Sweet 16 matchups going in. Just in the matchups that you have against each other.
Out of all the matchups that we have in the Sweet 16, really, outside of Purdue Gonzaga, just because of my own personal vested interests or non-interest in that game, I can't remember how many great matchups we've had set up. Like, I mean, there's a lot of games that I really am intrigued to follow and see what's going on. If I don't get to watch them, I actually want to keep up with what's going on in these matchups here. It doesn't matter about my bracket fully at this moment. Like, these games are interesting. There are interesting storylines to go on along with this.
Yeah. Very, very true, good sir. Tennessee's led by guard play. And if I'm going to say his name wrong, Knecht or Nietzsche.
No, it's Marmaduke.
Marmaduke, yes, Marmaduke, the great late Marmaduke. With his 21 points per game. But my problem with Tennessee is I don't think he has enough help. Creighton's a much more balanced team. The leading guy only scores 18, but they have a couple of guys on their roster. Alexander and even their center lately has stepped up and done pretty good, I think. Kalibrenner. Both those guys averaging 17 points, right behind the 18 points of Sherman, who is their lead guy, who also surprisingly leads them in rebounding as a guard. With 18 points and 9 rebounds. Their center only gets 7, which is a little surprising. I believe he's 7 foot. I'm gonna check this. Yeah, 7'1". So that's a little surprising, but their center to me earlier on was kind of a weakness, but I think he's stepped up and solidified that team. And I just see Creighton as a more well-rounded team than Tennessee, but it's going to be a good game, I think. Can't count out Rick Barnes in the tournament.
Yeah, I think both Creighton and Tennessee, if you ask both of them, they said they probably tell you they both easily could have lost those games on Saturday night, particularly Tennessee. I mean, Texas played an awful game, and Tennessee was still able to hang on with their defense. And then as far as the Creighton-Oregon game was concerned, that went to double overtime, and Creighton dominated the second overtime, winning that by 13 points. But I think, again, as you alluded to, I mean, both of these teams rely on guard play. But as you mentioned, I think Kalkbrenner for Creighton, their center is going to be the key of this game. And if he has a good game, then they'll win this game, in my opinion.
Very true.
All right. Well, we've gone through each of the games here for the Sweet 16, so we'll go ahead and make our predictions here for the Elite Eight. Since none of us have a perfect Elite Eight, we're going to have to reselect here. And I've got record of it, so we'll have it there for next week to see how well we did. I'll go ahead and go first on the first. Actually, you know what? First game is UConn, San Diego State. Caleb, I'll give it to you. You go. You pick first.
Well, we know
who
you're
picking.
Got UConn. We got UConn. Like I said, they can just beat you any style, however you want to play it. UConn's got you.
Jeff?
Ditto, UConn.
I also have UConn in this game. Next game, you've got Iowa State, Illinois. Jeff, you're up.
Gosh, this is a heck of a game, and I think I'll stick with my original pick in Iowa State. I think the defense of Iowa State controls the guard play of Illinois. They win that game barely.
Yeah, no, I agree with you, Jeff. I can see this one easily going to overtime as one of the matchups. But I got to go Iowa State. Like I said, I broke a cardinal rule early on where I went kind of defense first, and it should have been offense, but the defense wins you championships. As I think San Diego State helped prove last year to get to the final. But so I got to go Iowa State myself.
Yeah. And I also will be taking Iowa State. So a UConn Iowa State matchup in the Elite Eight there in the
one
East.
We want to see.
That is just too intriguing to me. We all want to see this one. That is going to be a game to watch right there. So now we'll move over. We'll go ahead and move over here into the West. And I'll go first here with North Carolina versus Alabama. I'm taking the Tar Heels. I believe that their offense is going to be able to exploit Alabama's defense too much, and even though Alabama can score, I think North Carolina is going to make it hard for them to do that, and North Carolina is going to be able to take this one. So North Carolina.
Even though I originally took Alabama against North Carolina in my bracket, I'm going to go with North Carolina now. And for the same reasons as Chris alluded to, I think North Carolina, even though, they're not as known for their offense as they have in years past, they're known for their defense this year. Alabama has zero defense, and I think North Carolina outscores Alabama in this game. North Carolina wins.
Maybe. I'm going to go Alabama. I kind of thought the same thing with the earlier with some same areas. North Carolina's look good, but I'm going to go Alabama in this one.
Is that who you originally picked in your bracket?
Well, I did have UNC losing to St. Mary's here, a more defensive-oriented team. But I say part of that's my not trusting North Carolina with their consistency. But I see Alabama scoring and just scoring.
Well, that's the first break from all of us there. So we'll now go to the next game. Arizona versus Clemson. Caleb, you were up first.
All right. I got to go Arizona. I'm going to go team talent on this one. I say Clemson's had a heck of a run, and it's hard to bet against them when they look like they're pissed off. But I think Arizona is just the more balanced team, more talent. I'm going to give it to Arizona.
Jeff.
Arizona's the better team, top 10 in both offense and defense efficiency. As Caleb alluded to, Clemson, great run, but they're just simply not as good as Arizona. Arizona wins.
And from my commentary earlier, Arizona has more pressure on them. They haven't done enough in the tournament the last few years. They have the pressure that they need to win and go through here. Clemson's playing with house money. They're just kind of happy to be there. That gives them the freeness to go ahead and play. I'm going to take Clemson knocking off Arizona. Let's go Tigers.
All right.
Moving into the South, Houston and Duke. Jeff, you were up first on this one.
Oh boy, this is tough.
No, it's not.
I mean,
I'm just going through the rotation.
I know.
This is tough. I think Duke has looked really, really good this tournament. Upgraded their level of competition hasn't been to the level of Houston. I think that A&M was just a really bad matchup for Houston, and they were really exposed in that game on the offensive glass and by the superior guard play. However, I think Houston finds it within themselves to just kind of use that A&M game as a positive as opposed to a negative. Rebounds the ball, not necessarily figuratively, but also just I just think they're able to rebound, and they're going to force the turnovers against Duke. Duke has not seen anywhere close to the level of defense like this all year long. Houston wins this game very, very close. Very close game. Houston barely wins.
I am also taking Houston in this game. And short reason why I picked them to win it all. So, of course, I'm taking Houston to win this game.
Right.
Caleb, you're up.
Make it 3 for 3, Houston. I don't even think it's necessarily going to be that close. I think Houston's got this.
They're the better team to do. They're just the better team all around.
They are. And like Jeff alluded to, like they haven't really faced anybody yet. So, yeah, they've looked great. But who have they really faced? I mean, you can say maybe James Madison, but Wisconsin didn't look great in that game either. No offense to James Madison, but like I said, I think it was a matchup with A&M, and also Texas teams going at each other. They always want to give their all to beat another Texas team.
Very true, especially as close as Houston is to College Station. It's right. It's
Right.
you can take a standard Houston and throw a rock and hit College Station. I mean, it's not far away.
Pretty close. Very true. And I think coaching also is going to play something here with Kelvin Sampson going against the young Duke coach. So I got Houston.
Yep. All right. So for the next matchup, I'll go first. We got Marquette, North Carolina State, and I am jumping on the Cinderella train. North Carolina State is knocking off Marquette and will be moving on to the Elite Eight to face Houston. NC State, baby. Let's go Wolfpack.
Very true.
Caleb, you're next.
I'm rolling right there with the NC State. Like I said, I think this is a matchup nightmare for Marquette coming in. And I've kind of badmouthed Marquette most of the year with Kolek in there as a 3-point dependent team that can't rebound. I think NC State pulls it out.
As much as I supported the Big East, I'm still making this choice just because Marquette, I think, is just they've been playing, their time's coming. To me, they've not been a team that has shown that they can make it deep and far into the tournament all season long. They just haven't looked like it. And of course, with Collette being injured, that's happened part of it. But as we said before, they seem to be a different team without him. I think they were actually a better team without him, even though he's their best player. They seem to play
They
more.
were a more balanced team. Yes,
exactly.
Agree.
So, Jeff, what do you got?
As I alluded to, I don't really have an initial idea on this game, so I'm going to just go.
Did you flip your coin?
No, I'm going to go kind of similar to the Arizona Clemson deal, where I think Marquette is just a better team, and I think Shaka Smart's going to figure out a way to stop DJ Birds or at least limit him. I think the run stops for NC State.
He's hoping this is going to be the pick that puts him over the edge right here. That's what it is. This is the one that he was feel too bad about if he lost it, but this one could give him the edge right here.
Maybe.
So I'll go Marquette in this game, but if NC State wins, I'm not going to be too shocked. But I think Marquette's just a better team.
All right, now we'll go into the Midwest, and Caleb, you'll be going first. Purdue and Gonzaga. Your choice.
Oh, I'm going Purdue. I said I don't trust their coach necessarily. Their guards kind of get a little erratic at times, but I think they're the better team overall, especially with Zach Edey playing the way he has. Now, granted, like we said, he hasn't really played anybody, but he's still averaging 26 points and 17 rebounds.
I think he can put up 30 and 20 against Gonzaga. I think they'll win.
Yeah, right. Or anywhere close to 26 and 17 even.
And so,
Jeff, you're up next.
In this game, I think the difference will be Zach Edey. I don't think Gonzaga has an answer for him whatsoever. I think Gonzaga's guard play and Purdue's guard play is actually pretty even. I just don't see what answer they have for Zach Edey down low. I anticipate a big game from him, and I think Purdue's going to march on.
All right. Do for everyone. All right. And now the last game. Tennessee and Creighton. Jeff, you started out.
Again, very, very evenly matched game. Kind of reminds me a little bit of the Iowa State-Illinois game. Both very guard-centric teams. I think the difference will be Paul Critter for Creighton. They're center down low. I don't think Tennessee has a post presence that can contain him on a consistent basis. I like Creighton to advance.
Creighton. I have Tennessee.
Okay.
One, because I picked Tennessee to be in my Final Four, and it was rough because when I did another bracket, I actually switched it out and put Creighton over Tennessee. just because
it's a tough
I
matchup to
fully
predict on this one.
believe Creighton can beat Tennessee. I fully do. However, I made that other bracket out after I made this bracket out. And I didn't want to contradict myself or second guess myself what it is. So I went back and switched it back to Tennessee beating Creighton. Because Tennessee has to do what I think Arizona can't do. And actually get past their demons that they've had. And this is a game they need to do it. I'm fully okay with, like, I have nothing against Creighton. I really like Creighton. I really wanted to pick Creighton in to get to the Final Four. I did multiple times. I put them in there, and there's something, as much as I like the team and would love for them to do it, I think they're a great team. There's something about them that I just don't see as a Final Four team. I can't feel them as being a Final Four team. I think they're a great team. I think they're a very good team.
Was it just for the Elite Eight, sir?
True. But I don't think that they can be the team to go all the way to the Final Four from the Midwest. Tennessee, I think, is the only team in this region that has the capacity to get through there. So as much as I like Creighton, I'm a fan of them in that I like the way they play. I've liked it, even though they play in the Big East and I have to root for Providence. I have to. I'm not given a choice. I have to root for Providence. I've always liked
on
Creighton.
A couch otherwise.
Exactly. But I've always liked Creighton. I've been a big fan of the way that they play and everything. Tennessee, I think, is going to end up taking this one right here and moving forward. So I have Tennessee.
Fair enough. Yeah, I'm going to go with Jeff here. I think I may have slipped mine earlier with my pick, but Creighton's going to be my pick as well with Jeff. He said I think Creighton's the more balanced team, and the improved center play that I've seen from their center this tournament, I think is gonna help Creighton a lot.
All right. Well, those are our predictions here for the Elite Eight coming up this next weekend. I've got it recorded. We'll see how well we did. I mean, we're going to see how we did on our brackets. Everybody can see that who is joined in on the bracket. But now we've got our updated picks and who's actually in there. And I'm curious to see how well we're all going to do against each other when it comes up to that. We're going to take a quick break and we will be heading into the Sports Gumbo here in just a few moments.
That's good. That's good. Man, that's good. That's what you call gumbo. Poor man gumbo.
And welcome back from the break as we're now ready for the Sports Gumbo, where we're bringing in a whole lot of everything else. This is going to be a very full gumbo. You're going to have a little of your andouille sausage. You're going to have a little shrimp, a little boudin. We're throwing everything in here into this roux. So we'll go ahead and let Caleb throw in the first ingredients here into the gumbo. Go right ahead, Caleb.
Yeah, I'll throw it in. I don't know why I got blurry all of a sudden. I promise I'm not a witness protection, but
it's because you're mixing up the roux. That's what you're doing. You're mixing up the roux.
Are you Larry
Maybe.
Blurred right now?
You're Larry Blurred.
Larry Blurred. Oh man, those nicknames are great.
By the way, it's going to beat Cincinnati, and they're going to go to the NIT Final Four. So good for Indiana State.
Go Larry Blurred.
Check out your NIT Final Four. Yeah.
Hey.
Very true. Very true.
If you don't make it to the NCAA, win the NIT.
Very true. Porter's a magician. Where'd you go?
Hey.
But yes, very true.
Exactly. It's better than being blurred. Where did I go? Hey, come back. I don't know what's going on here.
But yeah, we'll figure it out later. But I'll start off with some NFL notes. Yeah. So Pittsburgh Steelers have signed Cordell Patterson, which is a little interesting. So that makes their offense, I think, more intriguing, even though they don't really have a QB to speak of. But that running
It'll
attack
be
could be
Justin
very
Fields.
interesting next year.
It'll be Justin Fields.
I-
Justin Fields will be the quarterback before the end of the year. Before
highly
halfway
probable.
through.
Highly probable.
They say Russell Wilson, but it's not gonna happen. He's gonna have a
Yeah,
bad game
he's the
in
starter
about
at
3.
least.
I give him 4 games. 4 games.
It's generous. But
I'm more
yes.
generous than what the Yinzers are giving him. They're giving him 2.
Oh, I know.
2,
Yeah.
3.
Right. Oh, I know.
They already have his head on a spike.
They do. They do. And Jeff, your boy Nick Scott, going to the Carolina Panthers on a 2-year deal. I was like, I don't think y'all are too worried about him, but just interesting
If
news
he
from the
wants
Bengals
to
point of view.
lose, he must
He
want
wants
to
to-
lose.
Right. Well, it's like the
No.
Browns extending Jerry Jeudy. I was like, well, that's good for us because he sucks. Ravens have signed Josh Jones, tackle, and they've re-signed Arthur Mallett, cornerback. So they're trying to build up some people. And don't
Hey,
forget
who have the Cowboys signed? Who have the Cowboys signed?
Yeah, just a long snapper. and
No
Eric
one.
Hendricks. Eric
They
Hendricks.
signed Jonathan Hankins. Oh wait, no, they didn't. See ya.
Yeah, no, they
They
did.
signed no one.
Yeah. Cowboys and Bengals have been quiet on the free agent front for the most part.
No, we haven't been that quiet.
Not as
we got
quiet
Geno-
as them. No, I agree.
We got
I agree,
Geno
but-
Stone.
You have not been quiet at the Cowboys. They have been just
Yeah, the
hanging
Cowboys
out.
have been the quietest.
Jerry Jones
The
is still on
Cowboys are
spring
blowing
break.
it up. Cowboys are blowing it up. That's
Jerry
what's
Jones out
going
of
on.
spring break.
All in.
Partying out there. He's just having a good old
Oh,
time.
yeah.
He's good. Ain't worried
Yep.
about next year. He's all in. He's
Yeah.
all in.
As the joke went around when there was like a blown up photo of Jerry Jones riding on a bus or in his car, I should say, he has like a notepad in front of him and he's just like drawing circles on it. Like the Cowboys draft plan has been stolen
Mhm.
again.
Maybe
He's
he's
just
just got him a whole bunch of
diddling
Tulsa
around.
strippers like he did before. You know?
Maybe.
Possibility.
Maybe.
He may just be in Tulsa having fun.
Living on Tulsa time.
I don't know. I'm not getting
yeah.
into that.
So yeah, so that's a rant for another time, another day. But after that, there's some interesting rule changes going on. I'm not sure I agree with either of them, in all honesty. The hip tackle or the drop hip tackle has been outlawed. I don't know what a defender's supposed to do next time Derrick Henry's trying to truck at you. And I know Mark Andrews was one of the
don't
victims
get
of this
beat.
tackle
That's
that
what
got
it
a leg
is.
injury.
Well, don't get beat. That's the whole thing. It's the most.
Don't get
it
beat?
gives
What
the
are you
most
talking about?
injuries. It's that is the play that causes the most injuries, and of course they're going to get rid of that because
It's
you
not
need to
going
have your
cause
players
those
out
injuries.
there. That's what Tony Pollard got knocked out with against San Francisco last
Mark
year.
Andrews got knocked out with it too.
Yes, he did. He did. And most of the times that this play happens is because the guy got beat and they tackled him down like that. It's the same thing as a horse collar.
Nah, I disagree with you, but
Okay,
Like I said,
so you're saying how else they got
I'm the old
tackled? They
school
said the
defender
same.
type. You got to tackle. I mean, they've made it so hard to tackle somebody. We're
True,
basically on
they
the flag
have.
football. in
They
my
have.
opinion.
I'm not arguing that. But at the same time, when they said you can't lead with your helmet, everybody said, "Oh, how are we supposed to tackle there? How are we supposed to do it then?"
No,
And
that
you know
was
what?
just at the
they
tackle.
moved.
That's bad fundamentals. Is all
well,
that
they-
was
they
complaining.
still-
But they
everybody
complained
threw the
about
fit that you
everything
can't
else.
do it.
They complained about.
I know there was a
horse
fuss about
collar,
defenders.
too.
The defenders always
They-
complain whenever it's like this type of thing, and all the offensive
Exactly.
players are like, "Yes, it's
And-
great. It benefits our
and it's
game
this-
because it makes it easier for the offensive players to score and
Well,
get
I know.
yards."
But I just
Well,
don't
no,
I mean,
think
there's
that
reason
because of
why
the-
the
It's
talk's
not
that
making it
way.
easier for them to score and get yards. It's keeping them on the field. We don't need players getting injured. And when this play is happening and
Exactly.
players are getting injured over and over again, you can't have your star players continually getting injured. That's not good for the game, and the owners are not going to handle for that. That's why they banned it.
Yeah, I still don't like
Exactly.
it, but everyone has their own take on it. But the
Hey,
other rule coming
I'm-
in is going to be the
I
kickoff
give a
change rule.
disclaimer in my argument here. I'm playing devil's advocate. I
Fair enough.
understand it's hard for the defense and all the other ones. I've said, how's the defense going to tackle anybody? How's it going to be? It should be flag football at that point. But at the same time, I'm playing devil's advocate that someone needs to stand on the other side of this and go, hey,
Oh,
there's the
plenty of
reason
people
why.
on the other
Yeah.
side.
I'm
said
standing on
usually
the other
all
side.
offensive players. Though.
I don't fully agree with it, but I'm going to be the person on the show that stands on that side. I'm playing RJ Choppy right now.
Fair
Okay.
enough. Fair enough. But the other one is the changes they're making to the kickoff. So I'm going to read this a little bit. So basically, the kicker's still going to be on the 35-yard line. The other 10 players in the kickoff team will be on the 40-yard line. So they'll be 5 yards in front of the kicker. And then the return team can have up to 9 members and then what's known as a setup zone between the 35 and 30-yard lines on the opposite side. And can have up to 2 returners in what they're calling the landing zone between the goal line and 20-yard line. Not only the kicker and the 2 or any returners, if you only have one, you can have one. You don't have to have both, are the only people that are allowed to move until the ball is kicked. You also cannot onside kick anymore. There's no surprise onside kicks. You've got to tell the ref whenever you're going to do it. Mm-hmm. And that's how you proceed with that now.
Okay.
Well, it's officially a rule now.
Yep. Well, there's a reason
there's also
for this.
no touchbacks will also be marked at the 30-yard line now, but no fair catches will be allowed.
There's the reason for this, and that's because they're trying
they're continually I mean, the kickoffs are the most dangerous part of the game, but they also want to make they don't want to kill the return. They're trying to make
they don't, because that's part of the most exciting part of the game. I mean, look back at Dante Hall.
You got your Dante Hall,
yeah. Dante Hall
Hester,
comes up first. Devin Hester. You've Cordell Patterson, who just signed.
Yeah, with Steelers.
With the Steelers. I mean, that's where these guys. I mean, those are exciting times. I still remember a lot of those plays of that happening. I understand the reason why you want to have, and because of them moving the kickoff further up has really negated a lot of that. They wanted to bring that up. They wanted to bring that option of play back, where you're not having these kickoff guys having a full head of steam and just trucking these return guys.
Well, yeah, but they're still going to have more returns now. So I'm interested to see if this brings more concussions or harder hits back into the game. Makes it a little more dangerous. I know it's 40-yard line and you don't get enough rush of a steam.
I think the way they set it up, it's not going
to. They're trying to eliminate touchbacks too. Hold on, Jeff. They're trying to eliminate touchbacks too because they're moving it up to the 30-yard line now. So they want the kicker to kick it, but they don't want them to just boot it out of the end zone like they have been, because there's like 25-yard and just go. Sorry, Jeff. Go ahead then.
I think this is a good thing, especially for the Cowboys, and the fact that they can actually utilize KaVontae Turpin in the way that they need to use him, because they haven't been able to utilize his speed. And this change is going to make it where you're not going to be able to just. The returner's not going to worry about catching the ball and having somebody having 30 yards of, building up to come truck them along the way, because of the way they're able to, set up the blocking and everything for it. They're making the kick return an actual, legitimate play that can be brought in.
I mean, that was already part of the rule where you stop the trucker before this new rule came in. With the no fair catch and shit, and
exactly.
I think moving the defenders back 5 yards too, but also making the 30-yard your starter instead of the 25. And now officially the rule apparently is no surprise onside kicks.
Mm-hmm.
So I mean, I don't agree. It's not like I hate the rule. I like the rule in all honesty. I think it's going to be interesting. I think it's going to bring the game more exciting, but it's just. I'm interested to see if injuries are going to kind of correlate up higher, because they saw the injuries go down, but it correlated to the lack of returns. So
what I find
it go up when there's more returns?
This is a rule that was first initiated by the XFL.
Right. Well, they're getting the XFL model. Rule. Yeah, this is the XFL rule and model.
XFL rule.
Yes.
Mm-hmm. And so I find it very intriguing that the NFL is actually accepting an XFL rule. I find that is very progressive in that aspect, because it's not the original league going, oh, well, what you're doing is whatever. We're going to keep doing things that we're going. It's actually showing, okay, you actually have a good idea. What we think is a good idea, we're going to go ahead and adopt that. That's, to me, I think, a positive step for a lot of these leagues that have these other competing leagues now starting of maybe there's a better way of doing things and we can take from each other instead of just going, F you, we're doing what we're doing.
Well, just look at like baseball finally adopting rules changes for a change. Now, granted, I don't like the Ghost Runner, but everything else has been fantastic. And the game's been a lot quicker, a lot more efficient.
Well, yeah,
the average time of the game is still not down, but it's still about 3 hours. I think.
Talking about baseball, that's something. No, with the pitch clock, that has really sped up the game a whole lot.
Well, the hitting clock and pitch clock both.
There's the conversation now, though, that is the pitch clock now. But is that the reason for the injuries that are coming up now? Because the guys are having to go faster in their progression than what they're normally used to. There is talk about that, though, coming along because that bullshit.
It's bullshit.
You don't know it's bull. Okay,
yes,
you're the
bullshit.
expert on this. You're the expert.
I am. I've been pitched before. I fucking read like 3 books about arms and pitching. I've fucking read up on this shit. It's not the fucking rule change that's causing a fucking problem. I guarantee it. I'll go to my Cajun accent for that one.
Yeah, do that, John Wilson.
Would you have a Cajun accent?
You know, you
Jeff, whatever. We're getting away from the football rule, though.
Hey, well, before we get away from that, you know, you can
get we order the baseball rule now. I just want to know so I can get my arguments ready.
George, the guarantee guy, you can get his cookbook on Amazon. Just so you can know, you can get it. I've looked it up. It's awesome. I used to watch him as a kid.
Do I need to put an ad up here so you can maybe get an NIL deal or something?
If we can get money off of it, absolutely. If we can't, they can look it up themselves.
Right. Check the link on the social media pages. No,
exactly. Anyways, go ahead.
Oh, but yeah. So no, like I said, I mean, I don't disagree the rules there, but those are the rule changes. I did forget one free agent signing in the NFL, Mike Williams to the Jets. They are literally going all in this year. So
1-year deal for Mike Williams. I like the signing.
Yeah. I mean, he still kind of drops a little more than I like, but he can stretch the field and take some heat off Zach Wilson on the other side.
When he's healthy. When he's healthy.
Well, yeah.
That's the thing.
But yeah, the Jets have really gone all in this year, basically re-signing a whole new offensive line and trading for part of it too. But good for the Jets. The Jets might actually be interesting this year. What's up?
Another incentive deal for the Jets.
Aaron Rodgers stays healthy.
Right.
Well, yeah.
He doesn't.
And 1 year, $8.3 million guaranteed, and then which can go up to 15. Very similar to Tyron Smith's deal, which is guaranteed for 1 for 6.5. That could go up to 20.
The Cowboys couldn't afford the most valuable franchise in the NFL and all of North American sports.
I mean, if you're not going to sign somebody, I don't understand why you release Michael Gallup. I mean, at least just fucking keep him then, so you have a secondary wide receiver.
I have no issue with getting rid of Michael Gallup.
I have no issue getting rid of him.
I mean, who is your number 2 now? Wilson?
No,
is Wilson your number 2 now?
There's a lot of questions of who's going to be starting in what position right now. That I'm not worried about. The number 2 wide receiver.
I bet you the Cowboys draft Xavier Worthy. I bet you they draft him.
If they get him in the fourth
round.
Wait, they don't have a fourth round pick.
No,
they're
taking him in the first round.
Trey Lance is your fourth.
Yeah, Trey Lance will be your starting QB.
I'm getting a headache. We gotta go.
Let me change it up for you here. We're giving you a hard time. I'm gonna change sports.
You can give me a hard time. I'm just getting a headache from the Cowboys' ineptitude. That's what I'm getting a headache. Not from you guys. I'm getting a headache thinking about the Cowboys right now. That's
fair enough. Sad news. Jordan Montgomery going to the Diamondbacks on a 1-year, $25 million deal.
There you go.
Yeah. But I mean, I don't know why the Rangers couldn't handle a 1-year, $25 million deal, but I know they're close to the cap, and it was probably their reason in it. And the Diamondbacks made the signing due to the injury they have on their staff. That happened over spring training. So they were the first to have an injury, and
what I'm actually surprised about is that he went to Arizona, and why I'm kind of surprised with his history with the New York Yankees after the Garrett Cole news that the Yankees didn't go after him.
True.
So with that kind of makes me wonder. Like, one, it took this long to sign. I knew he was looking for 120 million. He was looking for a high number, but everyone who was
120, I think.
Well, everyone that was looking for a high number didn't get it. No one got what they were looking for. So I mean,
pitchers especially this year.
Exactly. Snell wanted like 200, and he didn't get anywhere near that with the Giants.
No.
But it just kind of surprised me that with his history with the Yankees, that they wouldn't have looked back at him after Cole's going to be out for a decently extended period of time. I kind of that with them not going after him at that point, it made me feel good that the Rangers weren't going for him then. That maybe there was something that we all weren't seeing, and Arizona now is making that signing, going for it right there. So I'm not too worried about this as I normally would be. If Garrett Cole was fine, and okay, I'm not going down this rabbit trail, but with him getting with that injury and them not even sniffing Jordan Montgomery after they had him in their farm system, they know everything about him. Something's telling me something there. Something's saying something.
I don't know. I think it's just money. It's not necessarily they're sniffing something.
I think this could make the Diamondbacks spending the money that he wanted.
Best rotation in baseball, potentially. The Diamondbacks good. I mean, once Eduardo Rodriguez is healthy and back from his lat strain, you could have him, Zach Gallen, Merle Kelly, Brandon Pfaadt, and Jordan Montgomery in there.
So I'm now going to call you John Smoltz.
Yeah, exactly.
Only if I did it to the Orioles.
No, this is during your Diamondbacks.
They could have one of the better
now.
staffs, I think, going in, seriously, into the league.
Where's your Cubs jersey for
there's also a player option inside that Montgomery deal if he makes 10 starts this year. So he could come back for another $20 million next year if he decides to pick up the player option after making 10 starts in Arizona if he likes it.
Well, with your downer news, I'm going to completely change all that around because baseball starts on Thursday. Opening day, I've got my Rangers championship gear on. I am ready to go. And I don't give two flying fucks about Jordan Montgomery. Hey, he didn't want to come back. That's fine. He wanted to get his money. Good for him. He can go get a year for $25 million over at Arizona. And you know what? He can just go over there and have fun out there in the desert because it's going to suck. I guarantee it. It's the desert. It sucks. But I've got Rangers news, which is more important than any of that right there. And
go for it.
We're coming in hot and heavy. Corey Seager and Josh Young are both healthy and going to be playing on opening day. Now, I know there was talk that, we were worried Seager wouldn't be able to make it out for opening day with his injuries coming through, but he has stated that he's feeling as strong as he has. They both played 2 days ago, had a little warm-up, tune-up, so they're good to go, and both will be playing in this. Now, the other big news is news that we've been talking about multiple times, during spring training, and Wyatt Langford has made the opening day roster.
Fantastic.
Now, there's a lot
he made
of talk.
It through AAA through like 44 games. That's incredibly impressive, I think.
He has. He's
made it through the minors in 44 games.
He's succeeded in every level that he's been in. And this now brings in the conversation. Everyone, before he was even drafted by the Rangers, back when he was in Florida, he's been compared to Mike Trout in every single way. And there's been so much talk on the radio of, are we building him up too much so that is he going to be able to succeed to that? Let the kid play. Yeah. Right now, he's gonna have it's even in spring training. His first 10 bats, he went 1 at 10, and then he figured it out and went forward that.
Caught fire.
I can tell you right now, opening day, Wyatt Langford can come out and go 0 for 4 with 3 strikeouts, and I'm not going to be worried about him because
No.
it's his first time in the leagues going against major league pitching. I don't expect him to come in and hit a home run and go 4 for 5 with 6 RBIs. I don't expect that. If that happens, that's great, but I don't expect it. I don't expect him to do anything the first month here in the majors.
And ideally,
mean,
you shouldn't need him to. With the
No,
lineup
and
that's
that-
returning and the defense that's still
that's-
out there on the field.
And that's the thing in Wyatt Langford's corner is that he's not coming in to say, let's say, for shits and grins, the Kansas City Royals, where he's the star, like he's the absolute best player coming out there, where everyone is going, well, he's bad in the 2-hole. We can't do anything. We have to pitch around him, and everyone else sucks. You have Corey Seager. You have Marcus Semien. You have Josh Young. You have Jonah Heim. You've got all these other good hitters. Adolis Garcia. You have all these other great players around.
Seager, Semien, Carter, Young.
That you can't come in there and say, well, we have to pitch to Wyatt Langford. So these,
I'm curious if the
he
catching is
can
going to stay as consistent as it was last year, defensively and offensively, because that was a surprise offensively, but we'll see.
Defensive perspective, I don't see why you'd be concerned.
I'm not necessarily. Like
I'm not concerned about Jonah Heim at all. I'm not concerned about Jonah Heim at all.
It's more the offense than is the defense, but I'm just curious if he can keep up the same pace that he did last year.
Well, we'll see if he does.
But
I'm not worried about him doing it. If he proves us wrong and slumps down, okay, he does. But I'm not expecting, I don't sit there and go, our success is Jonah Heim has to have another offensive great year. I mean,
right.
And just like I don't expect, our success depends on Wyatt Langford being good offensively. No, he is able to just fit into this lineup wherever we need him, and he's covered by great hitters. No matter where you put him, in the 3-hole. He's covered by Seager and Garcia. You put him in the 6-hole. He's covered by Jung and Evan Carter, or you can put Evan Carter in the 3-hole. There's so many places you can put him in. This is not that you can't find a better situation to come in to where you can just, wherever you put in, hey, just succeed, just make hits. If you don't, you're covered by other guys. This is a great situation that what other better situation can you have a guy come into where we have such good hitting throughout the whole lineup that, hey, come in and get us a couple of hits and we're good. You don't have to come in and crush home runs. You don't have to come in and do, hit 3 triples every game to help us win.
Yeah.
Just come in and get us a single here and there.
Interesting question I do have about the Rangers. Is it going to be Evan Carter or Marcus Semien batting leadoff this year?
As of right now, Marcus Semien is still leading off. And honestly, until he has a slack in his production, which he didn't have last year, there's no reason to move him out of that. Now, Evan Carter, I do believe, is your leadoff hitter of the future. However, there's no reason to rush him in and take Marcus Semien out when you're still getting that quality production out of Semien.
And I like Carter out of that 3-hole too, because you get, I think at this point too, you get the power from Carter now too. I think that develops this year.
It does.
We'll have to see.
The thing is you need to see how he does against left-handed hitting. That's where you need to look at. And he needs to really improve on his left-handed hitting. We only have a small snippet of Evan Carter because he only came in right there at the end of the season. So he didn't have a lot of,
see if he hits that wall with some tape on him, as they say, and pitching books being developed against him.
Exactly. As that gets brought up, which he's a smart enough hitter. We watched him last year, the way he would take pitches. He's going to figure it out as well. Of that, I have no doubt. But see more left-handing pitches is what he needs to do, especially moving forward. But that's why I don't see him going back to back with Wyatt Langford, because he's also a lefty. So you got to, you got to measure that out and expect how many lefties you're going to have, especially if you've got a lefty coming out.
Right.
If you're going against a lefty pitching, they're going to have to space these guys out because you don't want to have two lefties in a row. So you have to figure that out as it goes. With Montgomery signing away, but a couple of days ago, the Rangers were able to sign Michael Lorenzen from the Phillies.
Yeah.
And had a rough stint with the Phillies, but after being, he started as a relief pitcher with the Reds until he became a starting pitcher with the Detroit Tigers. And when he was with the Tigers, he went his last year there with them, he went 5 for 7, 5 wins, 7 losses, 3.58 ERA with the Tigers.
But he got blown out in a couple of his late.
He did, but he had an all-star appearance there with them. And then he went and got traded to the Phillies. In his last 4 games with the Phillies, he went 2 for 2 with a 7.96 ERA. His last 4 games with the Phillies, he was left off their playoff roster. Now, to a lot of people, why'd you sign this guy? Well, one, he signed him for 1 year, $4.5 million. If he hits his incentives, it's a total of $7 million. You got him at a quality price.
Mm-hmm.
Now, when he was pitching with Detroit, he looked great. Now, with the Phillies, he didn't look as good. The stats show that. However, look back last year at the end of the season and compare the Phillies' defensive players, as they were out in the field to the Rangers. Rangers had a Gold Glove right fielder, Gold Glove first baseman, Gold Glove third baseman, Gold Glove catcher, close in Gold Glove for shortstop and second base, and had a great center fielder. And then when Evan Carter came in, had a great left fielder. You have a much better fielding staff in Texas than he did in Philly. So, yes, he does have injury issues. We've talked about that. He does have injury issues. But I think he has a better coaching staff, a better staff to put him in the best position.
And the good news, too, for the Rangers is if he can make it half a season, when he's fresh, he's usually better. And then when he gets tired and the second time people see him or something, that's usually kind of when they get him. You might be getting your Jacob deGrom and some of your bigger names back. And
if DeGrom's going to be available, if he's available, it's not going to be till August.
That's what I'm saying.
Scherzer's
so by the time
people
might start getting Lorenzen, you could have Scherzer and DeGrom potentially coming back. So you might be pushing him back to your 4th or 5th guy.
And if you have
Scherzer,
Lorenzen being him as your 4th starter, you're happy with that. You're happy with that, especially if he's got better defense. If he's got a better fielding behind him on that, and you have him as your 4th starter, and he's got, I think with the pitching coaching that we have here,
let's not forget David Dunning.
You do, but you have Dunning. I was saying you have all those guys. I have full faith in Mike Maddox. I did the first time he was with the Rangers. I do now again.
I agree. He's one of the best pitching coaches there.
When they bring in these guys that have been successful but that have had some faltering things, okay, especially when you bring them in for $4.5 million. That's it. 1 year, 4.5. And his incentives is only 7. Okay, that right there is low cost, high reward. Because I will absolutely take that and give it to Mike Maddox and watch him turn it into gold because he's the guy I trust to do it. Absolutely. I thought that was a fantastic signing.
It's Mike Maddox.
When it comes down to it, if you spend $7 million and you can get 3/4 of Jordan Montgomery out of that for the little bit you had him, because you only got him there at the end of the trade deadline. If you can get 3/4 of what you thought you would get from Jordan Montgomery, to me, that's a win. Because you're paying even if he doesn't hit the incentives, you're paying a third of what you would have paid for Montgomery. And if you're getting half of what you got from him, that's a win in the aspect. To me, that is. So yeah, that's all my stats there with Lorenzen. I'm very happy with that signing. I think we're going to get
Nathan
more out of him
Eovaldi's
than
going to
what
be
people
our
are
starter
expecting.
today too.
And you just stole my next point. Nathan Eovaldi being the starting on opener day, and he deserves to be the starter. I mean, when DeGrom is back, when Scherzer's back, yes, at that point, Eovaldi is your third starter. But at the same time, is he really? Because since he came here and he was not, the flagship guy. It was DeGrom. DeGrom was the guy that everybody was happy about. Eovaldi was kind of a half signing. Eovaldi came in and up to his injury was your best pitcher. Even after the injury, he took his lumps, but he came in. He was the best pitcher that we had during the playoffs and won us the World Series. Literally, he won the game that won us the World Series, and he came out and pitched his ass off. And he deserves to be the starter at opening day, and I'm very, very happy for him to be that. I hope they can keep him further on as long as he's going along. I'm happy keeping Eovaldi. I have no problem with
as long
that.
as he keeps the same bite in that sinker. I think he'll be just fine.
Exactly, and I'm of the agreement. I mean, I love Eovaldi. I'm happy for him. I want to keep him here. I know that if you get DeGrom back and DeGrom's healthy, get Scherzer back, they're healthy, he is your third starter just out of talent-wise. But at the same time, if they kept above the two of them, I'm not going to argue with that as long as he's pitching to what he did in the playoffs last year. There's no reason not to, because he would have earned it at that point, because I've been here, I've been healthy, I've been doing it. But I leave everything into the capable hands of Bruce Bochy, as every good Ranger fan should. None of us should question Bruce Bochy. Well, there's no reason for us to ever question Bruce Bochy. If you question Bruce Bochy, do you really know baseball? Do you know baseball better than this man? Because he took a team in his first year of managing them that has never won the World Series, and no one believed to win the World Series, and he won the World Series. He won it. We all thought we all said when Bruce Bochy took over, oh, good, we should be good in about 2 years. We should be able to win this. No, he won it the first year. First. Not saying he's going to win it this year. No, I'm not saying that. He may not win another one with us, but you know what? He won it the first year. Whatever Bruce Bochy has to say, I'm not going to argue with him.
The guy gets a statue regardless of whatever happens the rest of the way. It does not matter. He got the Rangers their first World Series. He gets a statue.
Oh, absolutely.
Yeah. Well,
now, as we're talking about statues, before we move on to the next subject, as we're talking about statues, Adrian Beltre, should he have a statue there in Arlington? I think he should.
I'd love to see it, just because he is one of my favorite players.
I love Adrian Beltre. Don't get me wrong. It's just
not sure.
See, with Adrian Beltre, he started there with the Mariners. He went a year in Boston, then he came to Texas, and he stayed with Texas. And he is going into Cooperstown. He's going in as a Ranger.
He is.
There's no reason not to. To me, he was that third baseman in his time of playing to play the game. And my question comes in is, it's a question, a statement. Adrian Beltre should get a statue, and as he does, it should only be of him on one knee.
Oh yeah, it should be that home
with
run
the swing with one knee.
Hand.
Yes.
Oh, for sure.
There's no other statue he should have. To me, that's as iconic as the Dirk Flamingo shot, which he has the statue of.
Yeah, very true.
It's the one knee. With Adrian Beltre, you always saw the one knee.
No,
And wrapping up the third quarter, Dallas 94, Sacramento 76.
Yep, they're killing them.
Oh,
But yeah, no, I agree.
96-76, 20-point lead here going into the end of the third, going to the fourth. That's what I like to see.
Yeah. But yeah, I mean, I'm not going to be opposed to a statue of Adrian Beltre, but I'm not necessarily sure he's technically earned it. If he had won the championship, yep. But I can see them putting Seager out there as a statue in the next couple of years with that same stance he hit the home run in. But I mean,
what are you
Michael
talking
Young
the home
deserves a
run that he
statue.
hit? Are you talking about the home run he hit against game 1 against Arizona?
Yes.
That one? That was a great home run.
Yes.
Oh, wow.
I mean, I want to see a Michael Young statue, though, as the next statue.
I would love to see a Michael Young as well.
Mr. Ranger holds all the records. Well, pretty much all of them, I should say. Excuse me. He doesn't hold all of the records, obviously. But games played, games started. I mean, you can go down the list with the records he owns. There's a reason he's called Mr. Ranger.
If anything, there should be an Adelise statue for what he did for this team.
Now that I can see getting a statue sooner. Yeah. But man, that was a crazy thing he did too. That was one of the greatest postseason runs we've seen in player history.
Exactly.
By Adelise. But again, that's 1 year. Do you give a guy a statue for a year? That's like LeBron James saying he wants a statue in LA.
Oh yeah, when I heard that, I was like, "Are you absurd?"
Well, that's a fake championship. That's a bubble championship.
Well, I agree with you.
Yeah, the bubbles.
I'm just saying, you got 1 year. I don't think that gets you a statue. You got to give me a couple of years, and then I'll give you a statue. I'm not giving it for one great year. I'll give you a mural on the wall like they have put up at the new Globe Life Field. They put a mural up there for him.
The mural was nice. I did see the mural. I saw pictures of it. That was awesome.
Yeah.
That was really good.
I was like, I'm excited to see that, along with the plaque that they added for the World Series.
Yeah.
But
yeah, I've got to get down.
I've got to have more.
I've got to get my boys down there to the new Globe Life. One, because I've not seen the new Globe Life. I need to go see that one, and I want to take my boys down to go see it as well.
Let me get us some tickets. I'm gonna have to take my boy Jeff to a game apparently. And then let us know when you go, Porter. And
whenever we come down to Texas, and I will be getting tickets to the boys, and we'll all get tickets. We'll all go together.
Yeah,
we'll get Joe. We'll have a big group.
If we get enough people together. Yeah, so if we get enough people together, it has to be at least 20 people. We can sit in those rocking chairs.
I guarantee you. Are you kidding me? We can get 20 people easy. Easy to go to a Ranger game. Come on. We could easily get that.
I mean, I've got like 10 people in my back pocket, but I'm just saying.
There's plenty that between all of us that we know that they would say, husbands, go away so us wives can stay together and have and drink wine easily.
Yeah, true.
That's an easy one.
Very true.
So,
very true.
As we're talking baseball, and as we've been giddy about the Rangers and opening day, the black veil is coming down over the Los Angeles Dodgers right now. The big story: Shohei Ohtani.
Yeah,
and his. Came out last week that his interpreter was $4.5 million in debt to a bookie for gambling debts.
And he used the account tied to Shohei Ohtani to pay for said debts.
And he came out and did the interview with the ESPN that, Shohei Ohtani paid my debts. He took care of me because of his friend. And then there was a team-only meeting. And then now there's the investigation that he stole from Ohtani. Ohtani's come out and said, hey, he has stolen this money from me. I did not know what this was going to. There is a lot of things going on here with this. Yeah. And there's and with this whole betting thing, it came back to Pete Rose. And Pete Rose.
Well, as most gambling things will.
It is.
He's synonymous with the lifetime ban.
He's synonymous with the lifetime ban, and people still want him to get into the to the Hall of Fame, which he will
He'll
after
get there,
he
I'm pretty sure,
passes.
posthumously, yeah.
Yeah,
But-
after he passes, they'll let him in. But he even said, "Well, back in the 70s, 80s, I should have it. I should have had an interpreter, and none of this would have happened."
I mean, that's
There's
a
a
good joke.
lot-
Don't get me wrong.
It is
but
a
at
great
the same
joke.
Time,
It's a great joke.
he
but
bet
at the
on
same,
baseball.
he did.
Otani's bets were not. Well, I can't say Otani's bets.
Well,
The bets
we-
in question have not been on baseball or the sport he's playing or games he's in.
Exactly.
That's
And
a little
that's
bit
the
of a
thing is
difference
that
there.
from everything I've heard, most, if not all, the bets have been on soccer. There have been talk that they've been on football and college football, but none of the bets have been on baseball, to the best of my knowledge at the time of this podcast.
I agree with you. Sam.
However, which to me, if you're not betting on baseball, I mean, the NBA has that rule. As long as you're not betting NBA games, you're okay. Which should be fine. If you're not betting on the games you're playing in, that should be fine.
Right.
Which there are some talks in the NBA about what's his name? He plays for Toronto. And his last name
no,
is
not Lowry. anymore.
Porter. His last name's Porter. Can't remember. It's not Michael Porter, but it's Porter that plays for Toronto. And apparently there's some controversy. The book
Dante
we're looking
Porter,
in.
you're talking
Dante
about.
Porter. It was Dante Porter.
Yeah, it's
playing
on
for
player
Toronto.
props. It's on player
Yeah,
props.
there were some prop bets of his scoring, and in both games of the prop bets, he had an aggravated eye injury and then a random other injury in the first quarter that took him out, which put him under the prop bet and
Right.
scored where it was.
And that's why you
pretty
can't bet on
obvious.
have them games. Yeah, you can't bet on games, especially games you're in, but much less just stay
Yeah.
away from the entire
It
sport
was
you're in.
pretty obvious along with that. And that also got, magnified because of the Shohei Ohtani thing. Now, with Shohei Ohtani, it to me looks like he's making the bets and his guy was facilitating
Placing
it
them for him. Yeah.
because he's his interpreter. And it also made him his fall guy,
And
which is
fall
what
guy.
it's turning out to be. Because
Mhm.
no one can prove, because Shohei Ohtani never talked to the bookie. His interpreter did. So there's no proof
Mhm.
that he ever talked to him. So there's nothing leading back to him.
Yeah, unless
However,
there's a wiretap or something that we don't know about, there's no evidence. It's just
However,
hearsay after that.
Shohei Ohtani's interpreter made a yearly what his salary was $300,000 to $500,000 a year. What language do I need to learn that I can, get $300,000 to $500,000 a year?
Well,
Yes.
apparently Japanese.
Apparently, that's what it is. But at the same time, even with that amount of money,
But he's
You
also a
cannot-
childhood friend. But
allegedly, because at $300,000 to $500,000 a year, a bookie will not give you the credit for $4.3 million. They will not give that to you unless you have the financial backing, which would be saying Shohei Ohtani is making these bets because he has the money to be able to do it. Now, if
he
is
could
actually,
say that, or you could say I'm friends with Shote and he'll give me the money. He might have said something along the
there
lines
needs
too.
to be signatures that are
So-
put onto that to where either Shohei signed off on it or he forged Shohei's signature.
Yeah, but what
There
what
has
the
to be
legal
backups.
book
And you
makes
can't
know,
just-
that's not-
You can't go to a
No.
bookie and say,
No
I
way.
can't go to a bookie right now and say, hey, I'm friends with Mike Trout. I'm betting $4 million on or 20 million, because to actually have a debt of 4.5 million, you have to have bet over 90 million to get to that point. So
Yeah.
you can't do that on a
Give or take.
$500,000 a year salary. So I can't just go up to a bookie and say, hey, I'm friends with Mike Trout. I'm betting $2 million on this soccer
Well, I
game.
mean, you're talking
They're
about a
gonna-
guy who probably lives with Ohtani, so he doesn't have to pay for a house.
But there's
he's
talk that
saving money
on
so,
his
I mean,
resume. He said that he was the interpreter for a guy on the Boston Red Sox, which turned out to be completely false.
Well, yeah.
He
I mean,
wasn't.
yeah, and the degree he supposedly got is also false. They found out.
Exactly.
So
this
I mean,
guy
he
is a
lied about the
perpetual
resume
liar. So it's
completely.
not like he's a childhood friend. They were friends, but did he really know
But it shows
him?
that he can lie about other things too, and maybe this is
Exactly.
just such a.
There's a
it's
lot
a
of what
great-
ifs that are going on there. So
There is.
did Shohei really know what's going on? Did he forge Shohei's? I mean, there's a lot of questions here. Now,
I'll
of course,
say this.
baseball wants it to be that Shohei was the blinders on.
they're the
My buddy
victim
was
and-
taking
I'll say
care
this,
of things.
I'll say this though. I'll say this: if Shohei yesterday said that this was complete theft by his interpreter and that he had nothing to do with it, he better be telling the truth. Because if he is not telling the truth, his ass is in hot water.
Well, see, to me, that's what it is.
We're-
If he's telling the truth, he actually knew nothing about it, then that's good. Okay, I have no fault with you. But if he did know
Oh, he's
and he
fucked
knew what was
now.
going on, which I
because
honestly
he's a
believe he
flat-out liar.
did, I think he
But I mean,
believed. I
that's-
honestly believe he knew what he
But
did.
still, he
Then-
didn't bet on baseball. So
True.
to me, it's
True.
not affecting
True.
the baseball stuff. Now the
No,
FBI
but
and the investigation there.
But
But
Caleb,
That's
MLB
that's the
policy,
thing.
Though, MLB
That's-
policy, FBI policy, he did through an illegal bookmaker regardless. And that's
Exactly. That's
Regardless
what
of
I'm
all-
saying is they're the FBI
Yeah.
stuff is more.
But you know what? When it comes down to it, with Ohtani saying he didn't know anything about it, what if it comes down that he did, and he lied about it?
fucked. He's fucked.
Then he
Well, he's
needs to
fucked
be
if you can
banned.
prove it is the question.
That's
But
the thing.
if you
and
can
the
prove
thing
it,
is,
then yeah.
you
Well, I don't know
have
if
to
he needs to be
prove that
banned,
he
but
talked.
suspended for
Oh,
sure.
If he would have said,
But-
"Hey, if he would have said, hey, yes, I made the bets through him, my bad. Okay, and you suspend him for a year, 2 years tops. Okay, I'm okay with that because he owned up to it. But if he sat there and lied about it, even where he would have, at the minimum, maybe got suspended or maybe not because he didn't bet, he only bet on soccer.
Well, the thing is, he's going to go to jail if he admits it, because the illegal
that's-
bookmaking activities, and he's part of it, and parlay to
Everyone
it.
bets. There's illegal betting in the entire United States.
Well, there
It
is.
doesn't
But
matter.
the problem is, this one got busted.
Anybody can get busted on that, whatever. But then it comes down to it that if he
You're
told his
just
guy,
scared more about him lying to you. Is more.
well,
is
I
what you're
care about him
concerned
lying about the whole aspect with it. But the same thing is if he would have told the guy, "Hey, I want you to make those bets," and the guy went to Vegas and made the bets in Vegas, that's legal.
Well, yes, it is. Thank
So
you.
there's no worry about that. So if he's lying about the whole betting thing because he didn't want to get in trouble for the MLB, well, you still made the bet. You're lying. Now you're in more shit than what you would have said.
It's
If
not
you
about
just
the
said,
MLB.
"Hey,"
It's about the FBI.
Yeah, 'cause
it's
they're
not
worried
about the
about
MLB.
it's worried about the betting. Well, because the guy they made the bets with is being under
Exactly.
investigation. That's exactly
Yes.
the thing. Is they made they
That's what
went
we're
with the
saying.
wrong bookie is the thing. But when it comes
100%.
down to I understand what you're saying with the FBI, but if he made the bets legally where he sent his guy and they made them in Vegas, there's nothing illegal about that.
No.
But his
no.
name is involved because he did it with this guy. That's the thing.
Yes. Well, yeah. Obviously.
There's a lot we need to find out about that. My whole thing is if he's sitting here saying, "Oh, I didn't know anything about this. This guy did this outside of my knowledge." Okay, how did you or one of your financial guys not notice $4 million gone and not
Who
go,
doesn't have a
"What's
finance guy,
going
but who
on with
knows?
that?" Like that's
So
a
right
lot
now
of
it's a bunch of
trust.
hearsay. So I mean, until we
Exactly,
get more
there's-
facts, it's kind of
Exactly. I'm just saying that I don't believe this whole farce is being put up of I didn't know what happened. I don't know how this went on.
Well,
I'm not defending
could agree with
Ohtani
you.
by any
I
way.
believe
I'm
he
just
knew.
saying I believe he
but-
knew too. I'm just saying this
The
is
thing
the
is-
only
well,
way
Questions
to
can
find
prove
out
it.
that he's not.
Well,
I'm
yeah.
going,
The thing
hey,
is,
this
if
is what
he
MLB
did
wants
know-
to hear.
if he did know and he lied at his press conference, this is really, really, really bad.
The MLB does not want that because he's the biggest global option they
It's not-
have.
Pete Rose was just a manager at the time he got suspended.
Yes.
His playing days were over where he was one of the greatest hitters in the game. But yeah, Shohei Ohtani is the star right now and pretty much the face of the league.
Globally.
Yeah, I mean,
It's not just United States. This is globally. He's globally the biggest player in the world. They do not want this to happen, which is why it just seems fishy that his interpreter came out and said, "Oh yeah, I had some gambling debts. He took care of it. And they were buddy, and then there was a team only meeting, and then the MLB came in, and then Ohtani. It's all coming out that he stole money from me. There's so many.
And I mean, it could also be that Ohtani didn't know what the money was for and said, "Hey, here's a gift to my friend," and whatever.
That's absolutely true.
Or it could also just be like, "Hey, here's the money you requested for the gambling debts. I'm paying them off because you're my friend." He may have known exactly what it was for.
How much
and
control?
Just be like,
how much control did his
interpreter?
Was his
MLB maybe helping him lie? Is what I'm saying.
Yeah. Was his interpreter his business manager? Was he going, "Hey, we need this money for a fundraiser," and really he was funneling it out? We don't know. There's so many questions that are going on. We need to find out what's going on. And all of this, the Dodgers, when it comes down to it, the Dodgers are just signing him. So it's like, holy shit, what have we just dealt with right now?
Oh, they're fine. They'll get a World Series out of it and be fine.
Well, yeah, they hope they will. But during,
everybody else they signed, they really hope.
He's been his interpreter mainly all through the Angels. So did anyone in the Angels organization know about what was going on?
I'm sure we'll find out more coming up later. I'm sure more will come to light later on.
This is the biggest story going on right now in the MLB right before the season starts. You think it would be about anything else, but this is the biggest thing right here because he's the biggest player in Major League Baseball.
And he signed the biggest contract in MLB history.
He did. And if he does, well, that's the thing is that his contract is set up to where he's back-ended on the end. So say he does get suspended. Say he does get suspended for 2 years. He's only losing $2 million a year instead of $68 million a year. Because all of its is all on the back end of the contract. So if anything got suspended, he's only losing $2 to $4 million.
I'm not sure if it's just $2 million, but I don't know.
No, that's what it is. He's only getting paid $2 million a year for the first few years, and all the rest of it's back end.
Right.
And they was said that he did that to help sign other free agents to help make the team better.
Right.
I'm sure there could be an exception though in terms of gambling, but
I'm sure there is an exception with that, but at the end, at least the Dodgers only have to, I only had to lose $4 million out of the.
Oh, sure.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But that's.
We'll see.
We needed to talk about that. That's the biggest story in the Major League Baseball right now. In other news, go ahead and jump over to the NBA. As of right now, the Mavericks are up 114-85 over Sacramento in their first game over the Kings. They'll have another game over the Kings here in a couple of days, also in Sacramento. People were like, why are they doing back-to-back with the Jazz and the Kings and everything? The reason is because the schedule had to be altered because of the death to the assistant coach for the Golden State Warriors early in the season when he had the death. We brought that up in one of our earlier podcasts, but because of that, and to give Golden State their mourning period, there was needing to change the schedule.
Games got moved around.
There's back-to-back games that just kind of had to happen, and that's just something that had to happen because of that terrible situation. Oh, and out for the Kings now, former Maverick JaVale McGee.
Is he going to shack a fool, or
I hope he shacks a fool right now. I mean, he did finally come into the game when it was 114-85, so he actually had a more prominent position there with the Mavericks. But before tonight's game, the Mavericks were 8-2 in their last 10. They were 7th in the West, tied with Sacramento, who they're playing tonight, at 42-29. So Sacramento's in the 6th seed, Dallas in the 7th seed. They actually lost a couple of spots during their long break just because of other teams winning in those positions. But Sacramento led them even with the tie record because they had the better Western Conference record. So winning this game tonight and winning the game here in a couple of days, I think on Friday or Saturday, is going to be huge in turning that around, especially having that tiebreaker aspect above Sacramento to be able to not be in the play-in, to actually be in the playoff spot and not be in the play-in.
Yes.
And let's see. The Mavericks, they just, I just said, they just had 2 games to get the Jazz. The first game they had against the Jazz, 18 dunks in that game, the most in a single game in 20 years, and the most in Mavericks history.
Yeah. Some of the greatest passing I've seen too in those games.
From Kyrie and Luka up to Gafford and Lively and to Dante Jones Jr. Just, we're the new Lob City. Suck it, LA Clippers. You're no longer Lob City. You don't have Blake Griffin. You don't have Chris Paul anymore. You're not Lob City anymore. Stop saying you are. No. Dallas is Lob City. That's what we are. Deal with it.
Yay.
The backups are coming in. Here we go. They're sitting Kai and Gafford down.
Well, of course, it's like a 30-point lead.
4 minutes, 11 seconds with it's 116 to 85.
Like I said, it's like a 30-point lead.
Exactly, it is.
This arguably is the most important win of the year for the Mavericks.
This is, but winning the next game against Sacramento again, beating them again.
That might
both games. Both games are in Sacramento. It's not like you get to. Now, the last 2 games they won both games against Utah, but they had 1 game in Dallas and 1 game in Utah. So they had a home court advantage for one. Yeah. This game and the next game are both back-to-back in Sacramento. So, yes, you're winning by 30.
Now, I will give Sabonis his props. I will give Sabonis his props. He's now has 55 straight games with a double-double. He got 12 points and 11 rebounds.
No, I'm never going to fault Domantas Sabonis. I love Domantas Sabonis. I wish he was on the Mavericks.
Oh, agreed.
Just because I'm a big fan of his father.
Yes.
Yeah. And he's a good player in his own right. But, yes.
He is. No, he's a fantastic player. He's a fantastic player. He really is.
Oh, this guy actually almost had a triple-double. When I look at this, 12 points, 11 rebounds, 9 assists. Go along with 2 blocks.
Domantas Sabonis is a great, great player, but he's not Batman.
No,
but that's no disrespect to him because his dad Arvydas was not Batman either. Arvydas could, maybe in his prime he might have been able to carry a team at that time, but he didn't get to the NBA until past his prime. That wasn't his fault. Right. That was because of the political situation. It wasn't his fault. But even then, even in his prime, I don't know if he would have been the Michael Jordan or the, Steph Curry or the LeBron James. He wouldn't have been that guy. Even when he came over, he was past his prime. He could have been that guy, but he still was.
If he came over 10 years earlier, he would have probably been in the NBA. He would have been the Hall of Fame.
10 years earlier, yes, exactly. When he came over, he would. 10 years earlier,
needs to be in the Hall of Fame now, but it's rough.
But he couldn't because of the political situation. When he came over, he was. When he was on Portland, he was the 3rd best player on that team. That's what he was.
I don't know. He could be second in my opinion, but it's whatever.
And
we can get into this argument. That's a bonus another time.
Exactly, but
so
Domantas
he's a great
right
player.
now,
we agree, and his son is also a great player.
because of the political situation that his son was in. Domantas was able to be, in the league earlier and actually succeed
open the door and actually get drafted into the league. Yeah,
exactly. And that's the thing is that as good as he is, Domantas, you don't want him as your best player. If Domantas Sabonis is your best player in your team, you are not going to win the championship. You're not. because he's a good player, but he's not a great player. Yes, he did get the double-double record. That's great. He took him from Kevin Love.
He's
And
almost
Kevin
averaging
Love,
a triple double.
Kevin Love needed to be the third best player on a team to win a championship.
Yeah, but that's also Kevin Love.
Exactly. And then he
Who's
took the
overrated,
record
in
from
my
Kevin
opinion.
Love. Kevin Love was very overrated. He needed to be the third best player. But you took the record from the third best player who was overrated.
Okay.
So to me, that's not saying much. You need to be on a better team than what you're on.
Yeah, whatever.
Oh, it's not whatever. It's true.
No,
It's
no,
a true
no.
statement.
Yeah, don't
Just-
dismiss that.
I'll dismiss it. I think the boss
Why are
is
you
better than what he's
dismissing?
saying.
What's dismissive? What's dismissive about
Why
it?
dismiss-
So just
It's
because you had, you say you
it's
got to win the
Sacra-
games that are on your schedule. You just got to beat the guys that are in front of you to get a record.
It's
You can't help
Sacramento-
that it's Kevin Love.
Is Sacramento is Sacramento a legitimate threat to
You
win the
want to finish
championship?
that sentence?
Fair enough.
Of course
Fair
not.
enough. I'll tell you that. Okay. So Kevin Love was he a legitimate chance to win a championship until he went to Cleveland?
I could say yeah. If the Timberwolves are built around him, yes.
No.
No. There was no chance in the Timberwolves.
Well,
I'll tell you that right
it was
now.
the Timberwolves.
Timberwolf fan. I relinquish to the Timberwolf.
I was about to say, I mean, I'll give it to Jeff. So
Okay.
he's the Timberwolves fan.
We're a playoff team at best if we built around it. That was it.
Even
Yeah.
with Andrew Wiggins when you initially had him.
Correct.
No. Kevin Love needed Kyrie
Well,
and
Kevin Love
LeBron
was a
to
part of
win.
that deal.
Yeah, he was part of the deal to get Wiggins.
That's true.
Yeah, he needed Kyrie and LeBron to be able to help bring him over there. So Domantas Sabonis, I like him a lot. I really do. I think he's a great player. However, he's not going to be your Batman to take you to the promised land. Now, can he be your
Says
Robin?
Batman.
I think he can be Robin. He can be that guy next to you. But you don't want to sit there. What he does defensively, yes, he's great. Rebounding, yes. I don't want
What's
to.
that?
I
I
don't
mean, I'll
want to
take a guy
depend.
that averages almost a triple double in his points. I'll take the
True.
guy all day long.
Almost averages.
I
but
don't
I'm
care
not
if he's
gonna,
Batman or not.
I'm not going to count on Domantas Sabonis being my number 2 scorer, being my number 3 guy. Absolutely, that's who I want him to be. But I'm not counting on him to be my number 2 scorer. He's my number 3 guy. That's what he is.
Mm.
Yeah, I mean, if he's your number 2 guy, that's okay. That's great. You're going to be happy about it, but you're not winning anything. You're not going far. I'm just being honest. Watch Sacramento.
If you
Okay,
say
if they
so.
go out,
I mean, well, Sacramento
go out-
historically has been bad at building teams.
That's
Let's be honest.
true.
They had a couple
They
of good
have
years in
been.
the early 2000s, and then
They
they've
have
sucked
been.
since then.
but
Let's be
Domantas
honest with
Sabonis
that.
is your number 2 to Darren Fox. That's what he is.
He
He's
is.
your number 2.
Well, point wise,
If-
you can argue he might be the better player than Fox, but
I agree. But point wise, he's your number 2.
he is.
And if they go win the championship, then I'll eat crow. I'm happy to do it. But
Yeah,
it's
but
not
they're
going to
not going
happen.
to. We both know they're not going to.
We not us both. Jeff knows too. So everyone here knows it's not going to happen.
Yeah, it's not going to be the case
Everyone
this year, at
knows.
least.
I mean, it's right now 43 seconds left, 130 to 96.
Yeah, like I said, I mean it's a massacre right now.
Hey, where'd Jeff go?
I don't know. He disappeared. Actually, he
I
left
said
the meeting.
130 to 96, and I think it blew his mind.
I think he did.
Yeah, it blew his
Hey,
mind.
there he is. Did you click a button?
There he is. Did we just blow your mind with that score?
Yeah, I said.
But you just
"Uh-oh,"
went
and
away. Like you just.
I said, "Uh-oh," and I found a button, and I was just like, "Uh-oh."
Yeah, yeah. Jiffy left the chat. Jiffy's back.
Well,
now.
it's finished. Mavericks 132, Sacramento 96.
Wow.
There you go.
And
That's just
so-
showing right there that you can't go forward with Domantas Sabonis as your number 2.
Oh, one game. Okay. That
Not
proves
just
everything.
one game. Not just one game.
Don't
Hey,
forget,
you
they currently had a higher ranking going into this game, or a higher
No,
seeding, I should say.
They did because of Western Conference.
I
wins,
know.
and they don't anymore now.
No.
That's huge for Dallas.
Oh, it's
Yes.
great for
They're
Dallas.
at-
Don't get me wrong.
Yeah.
I mean, I'm preferring them to lose, with or without Sabonis.
No, and it's not. I'm hating on Sabonis. I'm not hating on Sabonis. I think he's a great player. I just don't think he should be your number 1 or number 2. He should be your number 3. As long as he's your number 3, then
And
you're
that's
sitting
fine.
in
We're
good
gonna agree to
position. You're
disagree
sitting in
on
good
where
position.
he should be. I think he'd be a fine number 2. Like I said, I agree with you. I don't think it should be a 1.
But he's in number
I think
2
he'd be
right
a
now in
fine as a 2.
Sacramento, and they got beat by 30 points.
Yes, this is one effing game, first off. Second off, this is Sacramento as Darren Fox and him, and that's it. That's
Exactly. That's your number 2 because they
it. In
invested in him.
points, I'd say Sabonis is actually the 1 on that team because he's almost averaging a triple-double. Fox has
And
I think
that's
5
scary.
assists and 2 rebounds.
That's scary.
So I mean, this is not a good team. So of course Sabonis
like
is going to
in-
get fucking
That's like
robbed.
investing as Dak. That's like
Sacramento.
investing as Dak Prescott as your quarterback for one more year and just hoping you wing it. And
Yeah. With
sign
no
anyone after
receiving
that,
help
just
that
going,
you let go
oh
of people.
fuck it, yeah, we'll just go for one more year. We'll just milk it out. Let's see how it
We'll
goes.
wing it. See how it goes.
Oh
Yeah,
God.
Look at happen. Look at happen. Oh goodness. Oh. Well,
So,
did you
anyways,
have
next
anything,
week
Jeff?
I'm looking forward to talking about Liverpool or Man City Arsenal next week because
There
that's
you
coming
go.
up on Easter Sunday.
Mhm.
Oh my God.
Very true. Very true. That'll be a
Arsenal
good game.
still leading the Premier League. Yeah,
Yeah, they are tied with Liverpool right now.
but they're leading.
Goal
But they are
differential.
number 1 over Liverpool. They are, even though they're tied, they're
Mm.
still number 1 over.
Goal
Very true.
Uh,
Very true.
Last thing I have before we end it here for the night is with the NHL scoring right now, it is crazy here at the top. I'm going to give you the top 7 teams, and this is whole league combined, all right? East and West, okay?
Go for it.
And their point totals. New York Rangers, 98 points. Vancouver Canucks, 98 points. Colorado Avalanche, 97. Florida Panthers, 97. Carolina Hurricanes, 97. Your Dallas Stars, 97. Boston, 97. And then in 8th place, Winnipeg with 93. At this point of the season, I have not seen this many teams right here in the running. In the East, you have the Rangers at 98, but then you have Florida, Carolina, and Boston all at
Well, it just
97.
goes back, like you said, to the Stanley Cup Finals. Once you get there,
True, but the last few years we haven't seen this many teams. Like last year, Boston was just demolishing everyone. No one could
Until
catch
they
up to it.
got to Florida.
yeah,
Until they got to Florida in the first
who's
round.
Now
Exactly.
returned as the
Yeah.
top team.
And then in the West, you have Vancouver at 98, Colorado at 97, Dallas 97, then Winnipeg at 93. I don't remember the last time we had this many teams just log jammed up at the front. Like
And this
you got a lot of good teams up
I-
here. It's not like it's
I
like
hope it's one of these 8 that win because I don't want some random team going far again. I understand that's
like-
the unpredictability of the Stanley Cup, but I just
so you don't want like when the Kings did it back when they were the 8th seed and go
No,
back and go ahead, go the whole way and win the Stanley Cup.
especially since a damn year happened last year. I just don't want to see it happen again. I want one of these top 8 teams to win because I feel like we followed them all year long, and then just for all
Jeff
of them
doesn't
to
like
do
chaos.
nothing.
Jeff doesn't
No,
like chaos.
we had chaos last year.
Exactly. You don't like it.
He likes a
I don't
little
want that.
chaos. He likes a little chaos
I like
here,
little
and then a
sprinkled
little
in.
chaos
Not a lot
there.
of
Just a
chaos.
sprinkle. Just a sprinkle of chaos.
Just a
I
sprinkle
want
And then-
of
chaos. Give me
And
chaos
then
in
he
my
then he wants
playoffs.
the good teams. And I
Right,
hope
just like the
I hope you're
NCAA
right, Jeff. I hope one of those teams is it's the Dallas Stars that come out of it. That's what I hope.
Yeah,
That's what I'm really
it's
hoping
Well,
for.
that's what we all
Stars,
hope
that's
for.
what we
Well,
all
of course, because we want to see the Stars go in there. Because I want to see Lord Stanley's Cup being raised there in Dallas once again.
Oh, of course.
Because
First time
I've
since
already
the-
brain- I've already-
statue.
with
Yeah,
go with
the
Madonna's statue,
now.
which honestly, out of all the statues that I thought they were going to pay for him, the one they did, I think is phenomenal. I'm very happy with
You
the
did a good
statue they
job.
made for him. There was a lot of talk about it was him raising the cup. I really thought that was going
Yeah.
to be the one that they went with, but the one they went with is phenomenal. I think.
Yeah,
it
they
looks
tend to go with
great
action
opposite
shots
Dirk.
more than championship shots type of thing, like Dirk's fadeaway, and makes more sense to have an action shot there. So it is.
No, it
is good,
definitely
though.
does. But it was like, what action shot were they going to go with? Was the question.
No,
And
I
the one
agree.
the one that went was not one I thought they were going to, but it was perfect, and it fits perfectly on the other side of Dirk. Like, Madonna statue to the other side of Dirk was always going to be perfect. It didn't matter what it went with. It was those two were the iconic guys of the
icons.
franchises that.
And that building houses hockey and basketball.
Exactly. It was, you knew those two, like when they were playing, you knew those two were going to have statues there. You knew they were. And the way that they was done perfectly. No questions there. Like, thoroughly enjoyed both. Like, that, it's great. It truly, truly is. But yeah, pulling for the Stars, especially coming out, it's going to be good. I'm looking forward to this hockey. I'm looking forward to the hockey playoffs, Stanley Cup playoffs, as I always say, are the best playoffs in all of sports. You're always going to have a good game in
100%.
the Stanley Cup playoffs. I am a huge fan. I don't watch all of the hockey season, mainly because I don't get all the Stars games. Whenever I get one, I do watch it, but I don't get many of them. But yeah, Stanley Cup playoffs to me are the best playoffs in all sports. I love the Stanley Cup playoffs.
No unpredicted. I want normalcy, damn it. Normalcy.
No normalcy for you.
I know, right?
You will get chaos and you will love it. All right, gentlemen. Well, I think we've had some great conversation tonight. We've had a lot of talk, a lot of basketball, a lot of good conversation tonight. I think a very good episode. All right. Well, if you guys don't have anything else, then we'll go ahead and wrap it up here for the evening. I'd like to thank. Yeah, are we all good?
All good.
All right. Well, for Caleb Culver, for Jeff Amos, this is Chris Porter. We'd like to thank everyone for joining us here on this week's episode of Next Round Sports. We'll see you next week at the next round. Cheers, gentlemen.
Cheers.
Cheers.
Good evening, everyone.